Thank you all for your patience. I'm sure you were not referencing the potential for profanity on this panel, George. There would never, ever, I'm sure, be
It,
be an
it,
instance of that.
it was
So
only injected for levity. There was no
I thought
assumption
so,
otherwise.
You all for your patience.
as I assumed. Okay,
I'm sure you
great.
were
I'm
not
gonna,
referencing.
whoops, close that. Okay, all righty. We are now recording and we're live on YouTube. And so I'm going to,
Okay.
Susan, let you welcome the folks and then we'll do
Yeah.
introductions. Thank you.
Yeah. And it's really kind of exciting to see a bunch of new people that I haven't seen. I'm Susan Lipp. I'm a member of the Arts Board, the one board that I've always wanted to be on. And thank you very much for letting me be a part of this. Uh, I've sat on over 100 boards in my life and created a number of them and have been on lots of national boards. But the Wisconsin Arts Board was the one thing that I really wanted to be on. And I'm so happy that you are all on this call and are helping make some of the big decisions that we all have to make.
Thank
And
you.
so
Thank you.
yeah, and the only one I know other than the people from the Arts Board is Lori. And so why don't we start with Lori?
Let's start with Lori, and let me just finish your introduction by saying that you are a founder, co-founder of Full Compass in the Madison region, which is where you are based today,
Well,
and
that's
your
the stuff
sites are
you wanted to
definitely
talk
sent.
about.
All of it. I wanted all of it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Susan
I,
Lipp. Yeah,
I'm
Lori,
actually,
please.
I'm pretty excited actually about the fact that Full Compass is one of the top in the top three women-owned businesses in the state. And I've been in business now for 47 years, and I'm pretty excited about it. We're in the professional audio, video, and lighting business, and we work with the arts.
Much to celebrate. Thank you, Susan. Yeah, Lori, please, let's take that baton that Susan tried to hand to you earlier.
Oh, thank you, Karen and Susan. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lori Fellens. My current job is I am the executive director of Wisconsin School Music Association, Wisconsin Music Educators, and our foundation, but also proudly spent nearly 30 years of my career as an arts administrator and music educator in Madison. So it's really an honor to be here with all of you today. Would you like me
Thank
to
you.
pass it back to you, Karen? All right.
Yeah, I'll just keep poking people as we go along. Thanks, Lori. Douglas, you are next on my screen, so we'll turn to you.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Douglas Dietrich. I'm a pretty new Wisconsin resident. I've lived here a little over 2 years now. But before that, I was in Portland, Oregon, and I was the executive director of a small jazz organization there. And when I moved on from that, I started a company as a grant writer and consultant to nonprofit organizations. And so I do mostly grant writing and strategic planning and executive coaching. But this has been really fun to learn a lot about so much really fast about what's going on here. So it's been a lot of fun.
I can't remember if you said you were from the Viroqua area, so I will out you
Oh, that's right.
on
I
that
live in
regard.
Viroqua. Yep.
Yeah, great. Thank you. All right, next on my screen is Monica. Thanks, Monica.
Hi, I am Monica Wentz. I work at the Chicago Symphony Orchestra. I'm the director of artistic planning. This is my first time participating in this review panel, and lots of friends and colleagues from Wisconsin. So really happy to participate and learn a lot about the great stuff going on in your state.
Thank you. Ryan, you're next on my screen.
My name is Ryan Lindley. I'm from the Oshkosh area. I teach middle school choir. My beard is a little bit bigger than the last time we met. It's been a busy season of concerts and such. Feel a little bit of imposter syndrome today, as I mentioned to Karen, a little nervous. I didn't want to mess anything up, but it was truly an honor to be able to sit down with all these applications and read about all the amazing things. I'm pretty well versed in the choral world in Wisconsin, but to see the different eclectic ensembles and organizations that are happening around the state is really gratifying, and it gives me a lot of hope. There's a lot of common themes in the applications, but to see everyone genuinely driven towards making Wisconsin a great arts state is really hopeful and really makes me very proud to be here. I'm mostly engaged in Wisconsin Choral Directors Association and then the Midwest region of that and the national region organizations, and to be able to read about like orchestral and smaller organizations, chamber organizations. It was just a lot of fun. And so, I'll echo what other people have already said and really appreciate the opportunity. As soon as this came up, I was, no pun intended, but jazzed to do it. So thank you for allowing me, and I apologize for any mistakes I make in the next 2 days.
I look forward to not only these introductions, but to everyone's evaluative comments at the end of the day tomorrow as well. I think there'll be a lot of rich fodder in that mix. All right, from the Oshkosh area, we're moving over to Appleton. Jillian.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Jillian Johnson Sanders. I am the Director of Conservatory Programming and Community Collaborations here at Lawrence University in Appleton. This is my 4th time around.
Gosh, really? That's amazing.
It's either my 3rd or my 4th. I can't, yeah. Karen kept asking for a number of years, and then I finally said yes, and then I found myself in this rotation. So but yes, just again, echoing what everybody has said, it's always a privilege to be part of this panel. And it is so amazing, all of the things that are happening in our state. So it's, yeah, happy to be here and happy to hear what everybody else had to think, everybody else got from some of these applications, because I had questions, I had, wow, that's cool. And I had some other things. So happy to get started.
Great, thank you. All right, Kristen, you are next on my screen.
Hello, my name is Kristen Chernohoy, and I am from the Hudson, Wisconsin. So I'm as far as you can go away from you guys before you dump into Minnesota. And so that's where I'm at, right on the very edge of 94 and Minnesota. And so I have been a professor of music at the University of Wisconsin River Falls for 32 and a half years. Prior to that, 13 years teaching in the public schools, Hudson Middle School, 2 years, Hudson High School for the next 11. Graduate degrees from University of Minnesota. So I guess they call me kind of academic oriented, but I run a business arm of my life because I think you have to in music. So I have, in my retirement as of 6 months ago, opened a new music society called St. Croix Sounds, where I've got an orchestra, a wind band on project basis, salon concerts, and I'm welcoming international guests and having a ball and wondering how I had time for my day job. And so I am involved in the World Association of Symphony Bands and Ensembles, and I have served under Lori's umbrella, I think in about six capacities through the years for the Wisconsin School Music Association. I'm thrilled to be a part of this. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Thank you all. Vivian, I'm going to turn to you if you just want to let people know your title at the Arts Board and the fact that you're supporting this panel. That would be awesome.
Hi, everyone. I'm Vivian Timchenko. I'm the newest staffer on the Wisconsin Arts Board. I'm the Public Relations and Logistics Specialist. So in addition to coordinating public relations for the agency, I also help out with the grant process a bit.
After about 15 years, I still pinch myself knowing that we have gone from 4 to 5 staff people. It's pretty exciting for us here. All right, Dale, would you please go next?
I'm Dale Johnson, a Grants and Information Specialist on staff at the Arts Board. I'll be in the background keeping track of the scoring today.
You will. Yes, indeed. Dale will be participating with some thumbs ups, I think, as we go along. And George, please go ahead and intro and speak.
I'm George Segros. I'm the director of the Arts Board, have been since 1996. And I just want to return your gratitude because we are so thrilled that you're taking the time out of your life. You know, it's not just today. We all know it's not just today, but the time it took you to power through the applications that are in front of you. We, of course, at the Arts Board are very pleased with that and grateful, but so are the applicants, because what you will say, your constructive feedback, will help move them forward or make them feel really good about what they need to celebrate, or even question some of what they're doing so that they can get better at it. So all of that is to say, again, thank you for being here. You're in great hands with Karen and Susan, and of course, Vivian and Dale as well. And I'm going to now duck out and go back to putting together one of our news vehicles. So have a good afternoon and good couple days.
Thank you, George. And I'm Karen Geschko. I'm the assistant director here, and I get to oversee our grant programs, and I get to actually facilitate this one, which is a treat for me. So Dale, Vivian, and I will probably have our cameras off for much of the meeting, although I will jump on and keep mine on as needed if there are questions or whatever, and certainly at the beginning of this process. But right now, I'm going to let you know that we have a script that we use for orientation, so that every panel is oriented exactly the same way, so that applicants can't be concerned that something was left out during that orientation process. We used one during your sort of pre-orientation when we went over the applications, and now Susan and I will go back and forth using this one. And Susan, if you want to kick us off with the beginning of that script, that would be great. We're going to take a moment after the script to see if y'all have any questions before we jump in, by the way. So no worries there. All right.
Karen, I think that I do not have the script in front of me.
Oh, okay. Would you like me?
You may have to do this.
I will.
Yeah, as you know, I've been ill and just don't have it together very well.
No worries. I will go ahead and send it to you again though, because it's a good, I mean, if you'd like to participate, that would
Yeah,
be
sure.
for me. Yeah, let me just get that to you then. Plus it'll keep everybody from hearing one voice droning on. I mean, telling them awesome and amazing information as we go along. All right, thanks for bearing with us. And as I search for this, actually, you guys, would you mind? I'll switch it up and say that if you have any questions that are burning right now, why don't you go ahead and ask them, and then we'll do this script so that you don't have to sit and wait for me to share this with Susan, etc. And since I'm looking at something else, if anybody does have a question, go ahead and just speak it out.
I was just curious if someone will be kind of prompting us to move on to the next application, since we're on a pretty tight timeline.
Yep, we'll have 10 minutes per, and that's Susan's job. In fact, Susan, I've just sent this to you. So how about if I kick it off and then she can describe her job and we'll just go from there. But yes, Monica, no worries. We've got you firmly in hand. Although in the beginning, we might go over a little bit because people sometimes need to find their rhythm, no pun intended, to really get into the sharing all 6 voices per application as we go. Other questions? All right. Well, you may have some questions after the script. So I will begin the first part, Susan, and then you can indicate when you're ready to jump in with the rest of it. But this is sort of the Arts Board in brief. We wanted to make sure we ground the conversation in what the agency's intent and purpose is to begin with. So the Wisconsin Arts Board was established in 1973. It's the state agency which nurtures creativity, cultivates expression, promotes the arts, supports the arts and education, stimulates community and economic development, and serves as a resource for people of every culture and heritage. Our vision is inspired by a quote from the late Robert Gard, Professor Emeritus of Community Theater at the University of Wisconsin. And if you don't know Robert Gard or his work, I commend him to you, especially the work Grassroots Theater. The quote is this: "If we are seeking in America, let it be for the reality of democracy in the arts. Let art begin at home and let it spread through the children and the parents and through the schools and the institutions and through government. And let us start by acceptance, not negation. Acceptance that the arts are important everywhere and that they can exist and flourish in small places as well as large, with money or without it, according to the will of the people. Let us put firmly and permanently aside the cliche that the arts are a frill. Let us accept the goodness of art where we are now and expand its worth in the places where people live. We embrace this vision. It guides our belief that the arts are basic to human life and essential to the human spirit." Susan, are you at a point where you want to jump in?
Yet, because I haven't been able to get it on my screen.
Oh, I'll keep going then,
Please.
unless you've got it.
I don't.
The Wisconsin Arts Board has articulated the following values for the agency: imagination, creativity, curiosity, freedom of expression, respect and appreciation for all cultures and people, artistic quality, a broad definition of the arts, audience and patron development, and community engagement. A major portion of the agency's biennial appropriation from the Wisconsin State Legislature is distributed to eligible artists and nonprofit organizations in the form of matching grants. Additional funds for grants are also allocated to the Arts Board by the National Endowment for the Arts, a federal agency. The board itself consists of 15 voting members who are appointed by the governor of Wisconsin. These members serve without compensation for a minimum of 1 3-year term. Members of the board are responsible for establishing the agency's policies and programs and for approving all grant awards. The board meets a minimum of 4 times a year. All meetings are open to the public. The board employs an executive director, George Tsugros, whom you have met. As the chief administrative officer, the director supervises the Arts Board's staff, programs, and day-to-day operations. The agency's full-time program and support staff implement policies and programs, including grants, and provide technical and informational services to the public. The aims and objectives of this particular program panel and this particular grant program are to provide artistic program and operational support to established nonprofit arts organizations whose primary mission is to create or present ongoing arts programming that make a significant local, regional, or statewide impact on the cultural life of Wisconsin and furthers the Arts Board's community development and arts education goals. There are a number of grants, a number of goals for this particular program. One is to promote and sustain art of the highest artistic quality. Another, to promote and sustain organizational and financial stability. To ensure appropriate long-range planning, ongoing assessment and evaluation, community input, and sound promotion as approaches to increasing the effectiveness of arts organizations. To increase local, regional, and statewide leadership among arts organizations in Wisconsin. To increase audience participation in and appreciation of programs created and presented by Wisconsin's arts organizations. To help arts organizations articulate the value of the work that they do and the impact of that work on community and economic development to their local and state officials and to the people in their community. And finally, to encourage arts organizations to work to enhance arts education efforts in their community. These goals are essential for the long-term vitality of arts organizations. Susan, shall I take the whole thing or you want to jump in?
The role of the panelists, that one?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
I finally
great.
found it.
Thank
I'm so
you.
sorry. Your role today is to provide expert assistance to the Wisconsin Arts Board in its grant-making decisions and to help keep the board informed regarding needs and trends that you see. Today, you'll be reviewing grant applications according to the established review criteria and making recommendations to the board. We would like you to appraise the board of needs and trends within your field and community. either through your general discussion of applications or in written assessments for board consideration. We would greatly welcome your input, and we would value any suggestions and recommendations as you would like to make on the whole grant evaluation process. The role of the panel chair is both informational and procedural. The chair is responsible for providing information regarding Wisconsin Arts Board policy and ensuring that panel meetings progress in an orderly fashion according to established procedures. Chair is a non-voting whose job is to ensure that each panelist's point of view is given ample consideration throughout the review of each application. The panel chair convenes the meeting, reviews the board's conflict of interest policy and the conflict of interest forms provided by the panelists, and then determines whether possible conflicts exist, guides the panel through the review by serving as timekeeper and discussion monitor. Panelists should focus their deliberations on how each application or proposal meets the established review criteria. The chair may occasionally need to refocus the panel toward that end. Panel discussion should always be constructive, regardless of whether it is positive or negative. At the December board meeting, the panel chair will report the panel's recommendations. A written record of these recommendations and the summary of the meeting will be provided by staff to facilitate this process. Panel chairs will qualify points within that meeting summary if requested by the board. The chair will also wish to comment on any trends or needs identified by the panel and make general observations regarding the overall nature of the applications. We would greatly value constructive comments and remarks on each application. Panel discussion is recorded and made available via YouTube channel or to all applicants.
In terms of the role of the staff, I
Mhm.
can answer technical questions like eligibility issues or whether the applicant submitted the required budgets, did this applicant ask for assistance from me in the grant proposal writing process, etc. I cannot make any qualitative artistic judgments or tell you what I think of their work. In terms of criteria, each application will be evaluated based on the purpose and goals of the creation and presentation program, and specifically on those 4 criteria areas that you see on your panel scoring and comment sheets. The first is the artistic, educational, cultural value. The second is organizational and financial management. The third is community participation and accessibility. And the fourth is planning, evaluation, and documentation. Scoring recommendations. You'll be asked to score each application individually from 1 to 100. Please, however you score, be consistent throughout the day. And you have an additional challenge because it's being consistent throughout this afternoon and also tomorrow. Don't score hard at first and then get easier or vice versa. Don't do your best you're scoring today as you begin tomorrow, or go through that post-feeding lethargy after lunch, but do your best to be as consistent as possible. Once you click the submit button after each application discussion, the scoring and comment sheet will go to Dale, who at the end of the day will average and share the scores back to us to review at the end of the day tomorrow, actually. Please note that if an applicant has received less than 50 points average from all 6 of you, they are automatically taken out of consideration for a grant in this year, and we will work with them to come back to the program with a stronger application next year. Our gift to you, you will not be asked to deal with dollar amounts today. You are submitting scores that will be put into a formula that we run, And that formula at the end of the day, taking a number of elements into consideration, will give us a grant amount. So you don't have to worry about that. All right, back to you, Susan.
Okay, what's next in the process? As noted previously, the panel chair takes the panel recommendations to the full board. After review of the panel's recommendation, the Arts Board members vote to approve or deny funding. Applicants will be notified of grant decisions by mid-December. The conflict of interest policy, you've all received the conflict of interest form. In the unlikely circumstances that you have been asked to review an application of an organization with which you or a person with whom you have a familial relationship are associated, we ask that you withdraw from all consideration of that application. The panel should not take any action or on any application which would financially benefit a member of the advisory panel or someone with whom a member has a familial relationship. Panelists should be upfront about their ability to judge an application objectively. The perception of conflict should also be considered and avoided.
Thank you. And finally, recording the meeting and appeals. The meeting, as you know, is being recorded and live streamed because this is an open meeting, as are all of our meetings. Regarding the appeals process, we'd like to let you know that an applicant may only make an appeal based on procedural errors and not on the basis of an artistic judgment by a panelist. All right, that's the script. Now turning back to you all, what questions do you have? We have 10 minutes before we begin our first application review.
I did have one, Karen.
Yeah.
So part of one thing you mentioned was that any applicant that's scored less than 50 or an average of 50, whatever that was, would be eliminated. I know I didn't score any below 50, so like I never
You shouldn't
that,
score. You
although-
shouldn't have scored at all, Douglas. You should have no scores at all at this point. So it may be that after the discussion, after the panel
Correct.
discussion,
just my own
you
initial
changed.
notes.
Right, exactly.
So-
And so it may be that you do. So,
Sure.
and if there is, this comes up more in our project grant category than in this one, but it has come up in this one as well. If you feel that an application or an organization is really not ready for taxpayer funding through this particular program, then you need to have a score that deeply reflects that, understanding that there are 5 other scores in the mix that will be averaged. Does that answer
Sure.
your question, or did I jump in before you fully articulated it?
Yeah, not quite. My question is just like, so as we do give scores, and we arrive at the final score after the panel discusses. So then, can you tell us how the funds are split up after that point?
I'd like to go through that, I think, at the end of the day,
At the end?
tomorrow. But basically, it really is through a formula. Put into the formula is the average size of the budget over the past 3 years. So that's that column that shows the organizational budget. Your score is very important to that formula. The number of applicants that are eligible at the end of the day that you've recommended are important for that formula. Those are really and of course the amount of money, right? So those are the primary pieces that pull into that formula. And we can go more deeply into it if you'd like to explore that more at the end of the day tomorrow. But does that kind of give you what you were looking for now?
For now, yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Okay, great. Yeah, you bet. Other questions, comments, thoughts before you stretch for a little bit before we dive in? And given that we have told the applicants when their reviews will happen so they can watch on YouTube, we do want to honor certainly the beginning, the first one, by not starting before 2:10. So there isn't any other question, and you do want to take a moment to stretch, turn off your camera, get something else to fill up your teacup or whatever. Let's go ahead and do that, and then Vivian, you and I will turn off our cameras, and I guess I'll stay on for the first one there, and then that way we won't be distracting as you all discuss amongst yourselves what you think about each of the applications.
Karen, one
Sound
quick
like a
question.
time for a stretch break?
Yeah, then one quick question on my
Yeah,
part,
yeah,
this is
Kristen.
Chris, and that is, do you want us to take copious notes, or are primary and secondary people going to do most of the commenting on their, so that we're just giving a numerical value?
Oh, good question. So you will have already put comments, I know, initial comments on your sheets already. And you will have submitted all of your initial reviews. If you haven't, then you won't be able to access the final version and you won't see a place for the scoring. So please double check and make sure that all of your initial reviews are in at this point. And then as the discussion happens, if there's a point that someone makes that you haven't already made on your comment sheet, or if it's not, on your primary, secondary, but it's another one that you're discussing, and you want to make sure that that comment is conveyed to that applicant to help them understand a nuance of the discussion or to underscore something that happened in the discussion, please go ahead and type that in there. You certainly don't have to add something to every single one after discussion, but if there's a pertinent thing that has really resonated with you that you want to underscore on your comment sheet, please do that, or an idea that pops up as you're discussing. On that second page of the sheet, we have those two sort of areas for, anything that you'd like to share with the applicant that might be interesting or helpful to their work, but doesn't necessarily reflect on a score or anything. It's just an idea you had that you think might be helpful. You can put it in one of those squares, at the end of the day before you hit submit. Does that answer
And
your
yet we've already
question?
done, well, kind of, because we've already done that, right? I did. So I already put comments in. And then
Yep.
now, as I'm opening this up, I just want to be ready to rock.
Yep.
So I've got my application summary, for instance. It doesn't matter which one is up right now. And so then I just put points in after our discussion today.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And the way the discussion will probably roll is per section, right? So the first, you're going to probably talk about the first part and then the second part, so that it's going to be hopefully a fairly seamless flow as you put in those points after the discussion is over, and then hit submit. And then Dale will give us a thumbs up when all of the applications are in.
Perfect. Thank you so very much. And I appreciate the patience as we learn this new form.
Absolutely. No patience required. I really appreciate the questions, and I think a couple more might pop up as we go through the process. So that's
Thank you.
great.
Thank you very
Especially
much.
for those first few. Yeah. Especially for those first few, again, as we kind of find our rhythm. That's totally normal. And if you
Okay.
need more time, then just to finish a comment or finish a thought, then just, say that so that Dale's not sitting there going, where is that? If you think it's going to take a little
Thank you
while
to
find
all of
out.
you. I know you're very seasoned at this, and I just appreciate the opportunity.
Sounds like you have had your own panel experience in the past too, Kristen, with other, it says Kristen, so I keep calling you Kristen, even though
All
I know
right.
it's Chris.
That's right.
Maybe I'll get that down by the
That's
row.
my formal name. That's my conducting name.
Very good. Okay. Very
Karen, I
good.
have something that not for the
Yeah.
good of the group, just for you. And so
Yeah.
if people wanted to take their stretch break, please do so. In last minute, just reviewing of the applications that I'm on,
Mhm.
I noticed, I just wanted to get your opinion on it, of possible interference that I wasn't aware of. Or well, I don't know, I can't think of the word right now, but conflict of interest. So I'm a secondary on the Master Singers in Milwaukee, and I didn't realize it until when I was reviewing it last night again, that they had mentioned my organization by name in a collaboration concert. So I performed last year with my choir that I'm the president of. at a collaboration concert, but I didn't have any dealings with their organization minus sharing a stage with them. I didn't know what your thoughts on. I genuinely didn't even remember what their organization name was until they had mentioned Oshkosh Chamber Singers in their application. So I have no connection as far as familial or even professional. So I just wanted to get your take on that. Should I
Oh, that's
bow out
great.
on that?
Thank you for bringing it up. So, did you receive payment for participation in that concert?
No.
Okay. And do you feel like you could judge the application and all of its pieces objectively?
Absolutely.
Okay. Then please stay on.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
One minute, 33 seconds
Until what?
till we start.
I thought we started at 2:10.
Oh, that's interesting because my timer from 10 minutes is 1 minute, 17 seconds.
This could be an exciting panel meeting.
Yeah. That's a little scary looking. I did do it. Sure, I did. And it's funny because it says 2:08, so we're okay.
All right.
So we got
Yeah, I have 2:07 on my computer and my cell phone, and I am not going to worry about it one way or the other. So you are now in charge of the time, unless there's a big ginormous discrepancy between my cell phone and yours, which there won't be. I'd say go for
there
it,
shouldn't
and I
be
look
any.
forward to your
Yeah,
cracking
but
that whip.
I've got 17 seconds until 2:08, so we've got 2 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I'm gonna turn the camera off for just a moment, and I will be right back.
Okay.
Time to heat up the tea. I will say that several years out now of moving entirely to Zoom and virtual panel meetings, I still miss the time during breaks and before and after the meetings and during lunch, where everybody gets a chance to talk with each other and hear what everybody's up to in more detail and learn from each other. So had I the time, I would be asking all kinds of questions, as would, I'm sure, everyone else, for details. All right, Susan, I'll stop talking and let you.
Okay, it is 2:10 right now. And we got to start. Are we starting with
The Central Chamber
Central
Chorale.
Chamber Chorale?
Mhm. And our first reader here is Lori.
Fantastic. So we will be discussing the Central Chamber Chorale from Marshfield, Wisconsin. Just as a bio, the Central Chamber Chorale, they present major choral literature in 2 concert series per year. They perform in Marshfield and surrounding communities with a volunteer ensemble and compensated professional artistic staff. Despite multiple sudden leadership transitions that they describe, they've successfully recruited some new artistic directors and accompanists while maintaining program continuity and rebuilding their membership post-pandemic. They offer accessible performances by charging no admission, supported by strong donor contributions, in-kind partnerships, and endowment with the Marshfield Community Foundation. And finally, they provide a unique musical niche within their region, offering repertoire and concert experiences not otherwise available in that local setting. They remain actively engaged in governance, recruitment, and communication, navigating that staffing uncertainty while also planning for a strong future. And finally, their evaluation practices include audience surveys, informal visual assessment of attendees, post-concert feedback, and that helps guide their decision making. So in my review of the 4 areas, the strengths that emerged for them, 1, they show strong artistic and organization stability in a long history of singing both sacred and secular music. They provide real cultural value to their area through free concerts, live streams, and collaborations with instrumentalists. The board and donors and community partners form a dependable support system, and they demonstrate careful financial management with the resources they have, even with those staffing challenges. I identified a few areas of future growth or areas they could focus more in on. One is explaining more clearly how their artistic choices or their educational broader goals help communicate their vision. With that staffing turnover, it seems if they create a really intentional plan for hiring and succession, it could help them instead of always needing this interim fix. So both dealing with the current state, but also really looking at their planning. And then I wonder about the tracks on who is attending their concerts and the criteria about new and underserved groups, how they might better understand their full community reach with the way that they track. And finally, updating their strategic plan could give them, meaning their board and their new leadership, a strong roadmap for the years ahead.
Thank you, Lori. Jillian, you are the second on this one.
Yes, I agree with what Lori said. They've got very strong community ties, and a lot of good things going on. Their budgets are fairly balanced. Again, with that endowment, looks like they have a lot of in-kind donations, a lot of community partners, which I thought was wonderful. The only other thing I would add, again, to be constructive is that, yeah, I also made a comment about the strategic plan and just making sure that they have really clear goals set of how they're going to recruit more singers and their succession plans, and also just how they intend to grow their audience.
Thank you. All right, now that first and second have chimed in with their thoughts, we open it up to the other 4 of you, and it would be great to have each of your voices in the discussion to some degree. So whoever would like to go first. And Douglas, you're unmuted, or Monica. Awesome.
I did it to myself then. Let's see. I agreed with everything that I heard. I enjoyed seeing like a mix of new and really long-serving members on the board. That kind of stuck out very clearly to me. I thought the organization plan, I paid a lot of attention to the organizational plans kind of throughout, just because I find it really interesting. And I found theirs, it seemed very appropriate for where they are. I think it was focused on, priorities that matter for them. And so I thought that was good. And I also appreciated I think they have a strong sense of their identity as like a regional kind of cultural hub, and that also like makes really good sense for this organization, and I encourage them to, you know, continue just building on that.
Thank you. Monica, you had unmuted a moment ago.
Yeah, I had just noted that, you know, it sounds like it's a smaller organization with a smaller budget in a more rural area. And I thought it was great that they were providing recordings of their concerts on social medias and had a partnership with their libraries. So I think for a smaller organization, that was really impressive that they were taking those steps.
Thank you. Chris, Ryan?
Well, I'll go with Chris. I'm all about collaborations, and I'm also all about more artifacts that really give us that insight into how they are programming and marketing. I like to take a marketing vein to it just because building audiences is that email list, and that is the data from your audience members and the investment and the buy-in. So I like that they perform in different places, and that's what I have today.
Thank you. Ryan?
Yeah, the only comment that I have that really adds anything is just in support of what other people were saying in terms of strategic planning. They do mention that, like they acknowledge that they have to renew their search for guidance. And so it is a positive outlook that they are looking for strategies and maybe looking for outside help on how to implement some of those strategies that either didn't work as well in their favor, or that continue to work well. So um, that was positive for me to read.
All right.
And
Great.
just one other thing that I'd encourage this applicant to do a video work sample if they can. And I think that, you know, hiring a professional would be great, but I think just having somebody with their smartphone to film a concert, film a rehearsal, those things really help. I think I'll probably repeat that a few times, but that I'd encourage that for this applicant as well.
Thank you for mentioning that. A number of music groups do kind of walk that line or wonder, and they land because they understand that the artistic quality score is based on their work. They want to make sure that you have the highest audio quality possible. And so for some of them, that means an audio file rather than a video because of the cell phone, you know, what are the audio? But to have that as a secondary work sample, so you get a sense of the performance, you know, and the visuals related to it, is certainly something that a number of them choose. So thank you for putting that out there, and maybe that is something that can come up again at the end of the day tomorrow as we're looking for trends and suggestions and areas of ways that we can help arts
2
groups
minutes.
strengthen their applications. Thank you, Susan. If there are no other comments, and comments are welcome, but if there are no others, then Susan's given us a 2-minute warning, so you can go ahead and finish putting those number scores in there. And any final comments you want to write, if any, and then hit that submit button. Thank you. When they are all in, Dale will give us a thumbs up. And if you have any questions about, you know, whether you hit submit or how to do it or whatever, please don't hesitate to let us know. This is the first time that I've seen the floating thumbs up going up my screen. Ah, the nuances. Thank you, Dale. All right, Susan, ready for the next one.
17 seconds. Perfect.
Staying within the small budget organizations, volunteer artist categories. Next on our list is
Me, Chris Chernohai. Corral a
No,
Nouveau.
actually, sorry, I was waiting for Susan. My apologies. Corral
Yes.
a Nouveau, yeah, in Eau Claire. Yep, thank you, Kristen.
Oh,
Chris.
I'm sorry. I
But
was ready to
but
rock.
that's okay. The first reader on this one is Ryan, and Chris is the secondary. All right.
I'll be the first, but Kristen will be the best, I promise you. So the chorale is from Eau Claire, Wisconsin. It's an auditioned volunteer choir in the Chippewa Valley. Strengths include consistent increasing audience sizes, collaborating with nonprofits and music organizations of all ages, conducting 5-year-long vision plans to set their organization up for success. And I hate to use the word weaknesses, but these are just things that I saw for points of improvement, I guess. And this goes for any kind of small ensemble, relying heavily on community sponsors, which can be unreliable at times. And they mentioned discussing hiring paid administrative staff while also not being able to pay the director and accompanist at market value quite yet. A couple of things that really stood out positively were their repertoire choices. When they talk about using varied repertoire from varied sources, they're not just talk; they really do that. And they have theme concerts that, for instance, in their January concert, songs about protest, peace, hope, and community, and not just songs from the Americana diaspora. It's from everywhere. And then in May, they had a concert highlighting how people and communities change over time, which I thought was interesting. A lot of organizations did that same kind of topic around that same time. They do a lot of collaborations with local performing artists, and they will get music from local artists such as Zachary Moore, who was a graduate of Eau Claire, and then moving on to repertoire of different countries. They are 40 audition singers. They pay about $50 in dues for membership per year, which is more than reasonable. I would almost say it's on the low end of nowadays. And I don't know if this is my place to say or not in this, but something to help out with their budgetary restrictions would be to up that number if possible and where possible, whether it be through member due donations, adding onto that. And then they do pay for guest artists and sheet music. And then I'll stop there.
So Ryan, that is an appropriate thing to say. It's just you'll want to just say it as a potentially helpful comment, not something that would affect your scoring necessarily related to that.
Correct.
Great, thank you. All right, Chris, you're next. Thank you, Ryan.
All right. All I'd like to do is add to this that they're putting a whole lot of work in without anybody being paid. And so they're doing a fabulous job of really making lemonade, as we would say. And what I want to comment on is that they do have the regular board meetings monthly, and that decision making on everything seems to be shared. So the choir members are reported to. It sounds so collaborative and so respectful. The other highlight I want to point out is that they solicit advice from community experts, everything from the community foundation and to how to get your operations stronger. So with this budget, you'll notice that they are spending less than they make. And I always like to point that out. So even though they aren't paying their directors and some of their people, I think they actually are doing a fabulous job, and hopefully will be able to do that in the future and through sponsorships, if nothing else. So it's increasing, it's growing, it's quality, it's attracting people from the region. So all of a sudden, when it gets to be grants and charitable contributions, that's almost a part-time job. So good luck with all the donors being involved and the board members. Last thing I want to say is I spend a lot of time in board development, and I look at the number, and some of them are in the choir, right? And what their interests are. I wonder if they've had that board development talk where all of the board members have to make a donation. Just saying.
All right.
It has nothing to
Thank
do
you.
with my score, but it's a great group and we want them to succeed.
Understood, and that is as considered a best practice by many. So thank you for that. Alrighty, opening it up to the other four of you to chime in, please.
I would just add, they're made up of a lot of music educators and professionals in the area. So being more explicit with their documentation around the connections to music and arts education would be helpful because it may be just inherent because of who the performers are, but making that connection to K-12 education really explicit could be another avenue of support and for that organization.
Just to make sure I understood the note, so you're encouraging them to work more closely with the schools or to
Align more with
articulate
the
that-
standards so that
Okay.
they can draw connections between the work they're doing. That's one of the criteria. So
Awesome. Yes, thank you. I just wanted to make sure it was clear. Thank you. Douglas, you're unmuted.
One thing I noticed was that they've done these annual kind of co-fundraising or maybe just benefiting other nonprofits in the area, which I thought was just a great way to make bigger connections in the community. I also thought their organizational plan was quite good. The only thing that I might encourage them to consider is like to include goals that deal with the creative vision as well as kind of more administrative or like infrastructure type goals. But I thought it was nice and enjoyed their application.
Thank you.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
had also noted. Oh, I'm so sorry, Jillian. Go ahead.
No, let's say, I was gonna say, like, yeah, kind of like Douglas had said, I'd really like to see their strategic plan and that they had set some goals and that they had set some staffing and compensation for that staffing goals, which I was happy to see. But yeah, I kind of also noticed that it was this kind of like where I think through some of your programming and where you'd like to see, where you'd like to challenge your choir, challenge your audience, but just kind of what else might you do on that artistic side.
And I was just going to add, I had also noted that there are these collaborations with local nonprofits for either awareness or community support or charity drives, I think. And it was just, it's really nice to see that kind of collaboration. I think that's something we should all be doing more of. It's great.
Thanks. Ryan? Oh, not Ryan. Who hasn't spoken? Everybody? Everyone. Great. All right. If there are no other comments, please score.
Few minutes.
Unmuting. So I've seen the floating thumbs up. Let us move to the next one then, and that is the Waukesha Choral Union. And our first reader on this one is Douglas.
Thank you, and I'm not nervous at all about this. I'll just, start off by saying. So the applicant is the Waukesha Choral Union in Waukesha, and they're a choir, and they have a part-time artistic director and an accompanist who are both paid. I noted that they do have some part-time staff also that are handling communications and admin work. Their budget size is less than 50,000. One weakness that I saw that was I wanted to know more about the singers. I think especially in such a small organization, the singers are really so much the core of the organization, and I just wanted to know more about who they are and things like is there financial aid offered if they can't pay the dues, or what are they paying for dues? And it's possible that I missed some of that information, but that was kind of something in general that I really wanted to note. And then, kind of following on that is that they listed recruit and retain singing members as goal number 1 in their plan, which I thought was really smart and obviously a high priority. And so, just kind of doing more to kind of build the relationship, like as an organization with the singers. I'm sure that it's already, obviously it's going to be a strong relationship, I'm guessing, but the way that they present it to us, that's what could be improved here. So, so it's not to say that that the relationship's not there, but that I don't get as much of a sense of it as I'm reading. Some strengths, they've just hired a new artistic director, which is always a big deal. And so congratulations on doing that. I'm seeing some really interesting new ideas. I especially liked the partnership with the local historical society. And I'm also seeing evidence of collaborative work with local schools and school choirs and churches. Another thing I noticed, they seem to have good, strong reputation and connections in the community. They've been in operation for 50 years. They note that they receive more invitations to perform in the community than they can accommodate, which is a great sign. I thought the work sample was strong, and the choir sounds well rehearsed, and the accompanist sounded strong. So let's see, I'm wondering if there are any other bigger notes that I put in here. Maybe I'll add some later, but I'd love to hear from the rest of the panel.
Thanks, Douglas. Great. All right, Ryan, you're the second on this one.
Yeah. Just to echo, as a choral musician myself, collaboration is huge. And so to see them do collaborations that are musical and non-musical, or infusing musical aspects into it, most notably the concert experience around Les Paul, where they were able to connect with the historical society, I think it's huge. It's needed and very impressive. And it also aligns with their mission statement, which is always important. The also high praise is given to the new director, and they recognize their downfalls. However, I didn't see in the application, doesn't mean it's not happening in-house, but just a fully addressing how to handle the downfalls. They have instituted operations committees, but there was no data or anything to say what they've been doing so far to address those downfalls. So as someone who has empathy in those situations, I'm guessing they're doing the work, but I just didn't see it in writing. And then I'm a big data guy, and they said that their attendance is increasing, but I didn't see data to support the claim. It just, for me, when I'm seeing attendance increasing, what does that mean? Is it a couple people? Is it a lot of people? But Douglas mentioned that they are over capacity, which is always a good sign, needing to do more concerts. I love that they're taking steps to accept more collaborations, and that they have high praise within their community. Being a community choir or organization, that's essential. And And then the organization said they see a need for accessibility in their concert venues and continue to solicit feedback from their audiences. And so that is always like a hard topic to discuss of, ADA compliance and things like that. And how do you get people into the buildings? And if they can't get in the buildings, how do you get them to enjoy the concert? But overall, just like Douglas said, the samples are wonderful. There's no concern musically or anything like that. Just a couple things here and there of I'm sure they're doing the work, but I just wanted to read more about what the work they're doing is.
Mhm, mhm. Thank you. All right, let's turn to the rest of you. Other comments on this one?
Okay, it's Chris, and I would like to go ahead and comment that I wanted to commend them on involving legislator. Apparently, for their 50th anniversary celebration, they involved a state representative at the concert as a visual person of support. Anytime you can cross different lines of interest and responsibility, it broadens their support and their visibility. The other thing I wanted to mention is that their board is all musicians, either current or former, and that is beautiful. But actually, you really get a lot of insights when you diversify that board with people with different strengths across your community. Because I have found in my own work that often your donations will come from anything that you have connected to your Rotaries, to your business, to your Lions clubs. And so anytime you can collaborate, yes, it's great that we all collaborate musically, but don't forget about those community partnerships and any businesses that might want to be recognized, if you will. Thank you.
Thank you. Great. All right, other comments?
I'll just say it was a really strong application, and many of my colleagues here have already given really great examples. It seems that their greatest strength is also their next area of growth with all of the collaborations and partnerships that they list and they're wanting to have. And they mention it themselves, coming up with a really good structure for vetting those partnerships and making sure they set up the ones they want versus sort of the reactive partnership model, I think is a really great place for an organization this age to be at, and what a great problem to have that you have so many opportunities to collaborate and partner that you need to create something like that.
Thank you. Any other comments?
I think the only thing that, again, that I could say is yeah, I loved seeing their collaboration with the Historical Society and how it fed with the exhibit. I thought that was wonderful.
2 minutes.
Hope they do more of that. But I would also agree with earlier comments that, I think just in their narrative, they probably just needed a little bit more help at just describing what they were already doing, because we get the sense that they are doing it.
All right, any final comments on this one? Then please score. Okay, The floating thumbs up tells us that we are ready to go into the Red Cedar Symphonies application out of Rice Lake. And Chris, you're the lead on this one.
I sure am. So let me get there.
Yeah.
I wish I had numerous screens right here, but I don't. So we're going to go for it.
I hear ya.
Just a moment. All right. I do know about this group as well, because this is toward my neck of the woods, if you will. One of the things about the Red Cedar Symphony is it really does encompass a large area. It's near Rice Lake, Wisconsin. And as you know, or maybe you don't know, it's north of Eau Claire. And so their goal is to, since 1983, bring musicians together. And it started as 50-mile or more radius. And so what they want is, it was one string teacher who wanted a performance ensemble for her students. They hired a conductor and an artistic director, and then they hired an executive director with their part-time staff, which is fabulous to have such a vision and such execution, I think, relatively quickly, since I think 1983, because they're very strong and lots of good numbers. So they do respect their community and bring good quality orchestra music. They've got some nice examples for it. And what's really interesting is where they are performing. So they are reaching people not only through publications and TV and radio and here and there and everywhere, but they're presenting 6 concerts annually. And they are doing these concerts with mostly volunteers. Again, I already told you about the staff members, 9 board members. And so one of the things that they're kind of known for is their concerto competition. So board members do rate it, if you will, but they have this competition, and it's really kind of a big deal for the region and anyone in the state. And so those take place in Rice Lake. And then what I like about it is that they do their concerts often in 2 places. That's a big plus for me, because it's an awful lot of work to prepare anything. So like, for instance, that concerto competition is done in Chautauqua and Rice Lake, 2 communities. And as we know, they don't always travel, but they do things in their own area. They have themed concerts, and they're nice and they're interesting. Colors of the orchestra, feelings of music. They're a little bit affective rather than shown to be focused toward diversity. That's just my input on that. And so they have had challenges with lack of players, violins and violas. And I understand that because I live that world as well. So they try to find them on Facebook, but yep, their personnel director, their director right now, Adam Beaver, is a music teacher in Rice Lake. So he's got the community there. Small budget, but their expenses are lower than their revenue, which is always a good thing. They do pay their directors. They do pay those part-time people. And I'd like to point out another one of my focuses is that their board is a variety of people, from physicians to insurance people to orthodontists to communications consultants, and all of them seem to bring something different. So once again, 3 paid people, 6 concerts a year. They do take surveys. They do most of their activities at a church. And they did not have too many examples. I saw 1 audio clip and then an operating budget. So maybe more supporting material would be welcomed.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Douglas, you're next.
Yeah, thank you, Kristen. That was great. I don't have a lot to add. I think that, one thing I did that really kind of stuck out to me was that they had a very ambitious goal in their organizational plan. It was a longer term goal of starting a teaching studio, which I thought it would be amazing to see, and certainly a great long-term goal. One thing that I would encourage this applicant to do is to, as they're fleshing out that idea, to flesh it out more, like with just a bit more detail in the implementation and the financial strategy that's going to make an expansion like that possible. It's fairly ambitious, and so that's something I noticed. But overall, like I found that the planning was appropriate. I enjoyed also, like Kristen said, that they're doing several performances in different locations. I found that to be a good way to reach folks around them. Let's see. I would like to see more concrete data, just kind of basics about who is coming to the concerts, and even knowing how many. And I'm kind of thinking about, we have a one number for like a total number of people reached in the last 12 months, which is great, but I would love to just have a little bit more granularity to that. So like to know how many came to this concert, and was it more or less than last year, things like that. I really like to see and didn't so much in this application. Let's see. But I mean, again, I think they're managing their resources well, and I think that they are reaching their community in a really appropriate way for the size of the organization. So I'm seeing good things in that department.
Thank you, Douglas. And if that is something that if those are pieces of information that would be helpful in your review of applications, those are not questions that we ask them to provide to us. But if that is something that would consistently be helpful to this panel, let's revisit that at the end of the day tomorrow, and then see how we might, elicit that information within the application form. So I will bring it back to that later. And right now, open it up to the other four of you for comments, please.
I wanted to say right off the bat how commendable and exciting it is for them to be the only organization like this in their area. It gives them a lot of opportunities to make outreach, especially to not have those programs in schools. Being the only place where people can have this outlet is amazing that they're doing all this work. And especially in this area, having it be, I really appreciate that they aim to make it accessible in terms of repertoire. And so though it may not be super varied, it does aim to include casual and hardcore fans of symphonic music. I know I saw some things about like Harry Potter and things like that. And so that makes casual fans want to go, and then they can kind of hook them in with the casual music, and then further it from there. So I thought that was very commendable and really enjoyable to read.
Thank you. Monica, you had your unmuted for a moment.
Yeah, one thing that I thought was really interesting about this application was that the community is the highest population of community is 65 and over, and that group of people is increasing, which I think is just something to note about the context of this community. I think an area of growth could be some partnerships. The application mentions that there weren't any significant partnerships. So I think that could be an interesting area for them to pursue, and maybe that'll generate some interest in local violin viola players. And I just thought it was really commendable that their revenue is outpacing their expenses consistently.
Thank you. And if you have a suggestion on the kind of partnership that you might be encouraging them to pursue, please put that in your comments there. Others? Lori, Jillian?
That actually was my comment. Just a comment to be conveyed is, with there being no school music offering string instruction, might there be an opportunity for them to be advocates towards that, changing that in the future? With this being such a strong organization, how might they help be the change for that?
And I'm betting that they could connect with Chris Gleason, the creativity consultant at DPI, if they wanted to pick some brains and pursue some ideas there. Is that a fair furthering of that comment, Lori? Or connecting with you?
Or their state music organization.
I was just gonna say, or yours. You didn't put your hand up there, so I wasn't sure. Good. Yes. So please let the comments reflect those two potential resources for partnership development. Jillian.
Yeah, no, my only kind of comment to add would be like the the comment about not having significant partnerships, there were no educational activities this year. And just putting into the
Time.
would have been good. What kind of things might you do in the future? Or what the plan is to get that restarted.
Thank you, Jillian. Thank you, Susan. All right, great. We are at time.
We are. You could actually hear it ringing. Are you ready for the next one?
We are not. We will wait for the floating thumbs up. All righty, great. Wisconsin Chamber Choir. Jillian, you are the first reader on this one. And you are muted.
You're still muted.
Yep, she's working to unmute.
Oh.
Something's going on.
Sorry about that. Yeah, no, trying to get everything.
All the things.
All the things. But Wisconsin Chamber Choir of Madison, Wisconsin. Sorry, get to my notes here.
Yeah.
So, founded in 1999, the WCC presents 3 concerts annually. They are actively commissioning new work and have done so for the last 3 or 4 years, I believe they talk about in their application. Collaboration is at the heart of their mission, and they have had a very successful program collaborating with local high schools, choirs in their area. They work with high schools and with universities because they mention UW-Whitewater as one of their collaborations that they've done. So, very robust programming that they've done over the last few seasons. Very high quality as far as what they're presenting. They have a very active board of directors that provides financial oversight and does their strategic planning. They're in the middle of they're in the middle of that strategic plan right now. I think that was a 3-year plan that I had written down here. They have very open and transparent decision-making, which I thought was good and something I wanted to note. And their choir is performing at a professional level and bringing in professional guests, and it's a volunteer choir. And they have a small paid staff. A lot of collaborations, again, with local high school areas. Local high schools in their area. I can talk today, I really can. And overall, I just felt that they did a good job framing what they bring to their organization, to their community and their value. I did have a couple of concerns with their budget and would like to have seen a little bit more broken out as to how they were dealing with the overages that they had, but it looks like they're righting the ship a little bit with this current season that they were in. So
Did you have detailed budgets on that one, Jillian? Or just the postcard? I'm hoping not just the postcard.
I think this one, let me pull this up here.
While you pull that up, can we move to Monica? I should have actually looked that up for you rather than ask you to.
It's okay.
All righty. Monica, go ahead.
Yeah, I thought that their concert themes, again, the content was really good and interesting.
I think it's important to note that this seems like a low income, high poverty level area. I think that was something that was mentioned in the application. I was really happy to see there was a self-selected reduced ticket price program, and there seemed to be a lot of success with that. So that's great to see, really interesting. I would have loved to read more ways how the ensemble is connecting with the community outside of their concerts. If there's any other community outreach that's going on, there might be. I just didn't really see that through the responses. And maybe that is an area that they can, if there's a similar initiative with the self-reduced ticket price program that could remove barriers to their choir memberships. I think that was something they mentioned as a concern, retaining membership and building future membership.
So if I can jump back in real quick, Karen. They submitted a budget, and like I said, the budget that they submitted for the 24-25 is balanced. It's the previous two that would have been nice to see kind of what happened, or there wasn't really an explanation if it was still, you know, rebuilding of audience, or if something happened as to why those seasons weren't.
We're not balanced. Gotcha. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Alrighty. Okay. Other panelists.
I
I'll
love.
jump into. Oh, sorry, Ryan. Go ahead.
No, you go.
Okay. All right. I would just continue on with the budget and that financial information by saying that kind of the piece of the picture that we don't get with what they've submitted is just what their cash position is, and just what resources do they have in the bank that are kind of getting them through any rough spots. And so they could, they didn't submit a 990, which makes sense given their perhaps given their budget size, but I think adding like a cash balance part to that, like beginning balance and ending balance, like at the beginning of the fiscal year and the end of the fiscal year, will give us a lot of context, just about the financial health of the organization. So that's something I would recommend, both as a management tool as well, for the organization's leadership.
Thank you.
I really appreciated that their educational outreach, with their they offered the local high school free rides so that nobody had a barrier to participate in their rehearsal process and the concert. And then the director also visited the school with some of his students and the choir, making, creating mentorship opportunities and fostering a huge relationship there. And then I think Monica mentioned this already, but the ticket prices being self-selected. I personally have never seen that before, and I thought that was really impressive. And then for them to add the comment of most people are still paying full price anyway, which is a testament to the quality of the art that they're providing, but still allowing people who can afford a full ticket price to still enjoy what they have to offer. So I thought that was very commendable.
This is Chris, and I would like to comment on the audience engagement. And they have post-concert receptions, and then they try to create interaction between singers, board members, and strengthen community ties. And then I'm going to also say expanded access based on audience surveys, the self-select that we're discussing here. The other thing is that they are always in ADA compliant places, which I really think it's important, especially after just traveling to Scandinavia. I'm not even going there. So you can hardly find an, elevator and the automated doors and all of those things. So that is really important, especially with an aging population. As far as evaluations go, I think that there could be a little bit more because it says audience feedback. Every 2 years, we conduct formal surveys to assess concert length, pricing, venues, and program. It is so easy today to do a QR code, and not everybody's going to do it. I think the QR code and the program is so easy for audience feedback, and that each time, rather than do the same thing each time, you can make some changes in what you are requesting from them so that they actually do. You can have paper ones when they pick up their program, or you can have the QR codes. And then that way you would get more feedback. You might get more engagement, and you could have on there, is there anyone who wants a call about donating to this group or
Minutes.
something? But anyway, so those are my thoughts.
Thank you. Lori, anything to add to the mix?
I feel like everyone's been really thorough. I think the one thing I was just wondering about, and it happens with a lot of community groups and collaboration, is when you look at their minutes, how they chose DeForest as the site. I would just wonder about opening it up and letting schools apply or share their interest versus just choosing one and reaching out, because what they're doing is such a great service to education and kids. It's really admirable.
Thank you. Jillian, you're unmuted again. Anything else to add or all good? All right. Thank you all. As always, please score. All righty. The floating thumb up tells us that we are headed next to Menominee Falls Symphony Orchestra. And our lead, go ahead.
Okay, so we're on Menominee Falls Symphony Orchestra. They are in West Allis, Wisconsin. They formed originally as the Milwaukee Catholic Orchestra and reorganized in 1998 as Menominee Falls. They perform 4 concerts a year typically, but they're doing 6 in 25-26, the current season. They have approximately 60 members, and they serve approximately a 30-mile radius. They have 4 paid musicians, and then they also pay their soloists. The rest are volunteers. For me, the strengths of this application were the creation of their side-by-side program, which, and they also note a growing audience. Their new music director seems really committed and is helping the organization to grow. Some of the challenges that they mentioned are public awareness and a need for upper string players. The plans were described to address these areas, but I would love to hear in a future application a bit more about their marketing ideas and initiatives to cultivate those upper string recruitment efforts. And yeah, I would also have loved to see, I think the video and recording samples might have been uploaded in a way that I wasn't able to access them. So that is, they did provide links, but I wasn't able to listen to them. And that's something I would really love to see in a future application.
So that's a tech issue that we should probably deal with right now, because it will be important to look at those to those work samples. So I will try to pull something up that maybe we can share or send you a link to that. Did anyone else have any trouble with this accessing this particular work sample? Chris did, Monica did, Douglas did not, Lori, wait, sorry, everybody did? Okay. Okay. Everyone had trouble accessing it. So we're going to take a moment.
I was able to access it.
You were.
I was able to access it as well.
You were.
So yeah, because it was like, some of them were links that took you elsewhere. This one was one that you basically, like, you had to have a player on your computer and you hit play on it and it popped out. So if
Okay.
you block pop-ups on your computer, you might not have seen it, or, so that
Yeah,
might have been
yeah.
something on our ends, but I was able to see.
So before you all score the artistic quality piece of this, we need to get that work sample to you. So please continue the discussion, and I will do my best to make that happen for you. And I'm going to be doing that, so I will count on you to continue the discussion.
So one thing that I did see in the work sample is that they invited a local dance studio and had, I think it's 3 or 4 or 5 ballet dancers that joined them on an excerpt of the Nutcracker. That was really fun. The audience enjoyed that. That was really fun. Let's see, what else can I add here? Let's see, they seem to be recovering well from losing an AD, artistic director, and hiring a new one is a big deal. And so kind of a lot of turmoil that they went through and seem to be, finding their way through that. So I thought that was really great to see. Yeah, that's all I'll add.
This is
Thank
Chris.
you.
I was going to say that one of their bullet points is that the orchestra needs a broadened base of donors, sponsors, and grant support. And they've been trying to do sponsorship drives, member campaigns, audience engagement, and grant applications. And so that is, I mean, isn't that everybody's song? That's everybody's song, whether they're singing or playing. And I commend them for that. And it sounds like that's what they're knowing, that if they can't really go to that next level, because there are people you'll have to pay if you're short of upper strings. There is businesses, there is sponsorship that you're going to have to do to keep on growing when it comes to an organization of 50 to 60, because that's a big group. I also, because their budget, and by the way, their expenses are outweighing their revenue. So therefore, again, we know why they have to have this. I did notice in their board, they do have a lot of different people, and they do have a lot of variety from the community. So somehow, I don't know how they're going to do it, but as far as partnerships go with some of those areas, it's a very wealthy area. So it's just a matter of getting the right people to find the right relationships. So good luck for that.
Thank you. Any other comments on this one? Or anyone who hasn't had a chance to weigh in yet, I should say.
I think it's always important and really special when your organization is able to bring in a state representative to your concert, and that's always commendable. And it's not easy, no matter where you're at, to get them on your schedule. So to have a state representative not just come to the event, but speak at the event and then include in the newsletter. So 3 points of excellence right there, to have a state representative come and talk about it, which is great.
Thank you. I have been futzing around in the background. Has everyone spoken yet, or does someone still need to add comments into the mix?
I
Yeah.
have not yet. I echo a lot of what has been said already, and especially around the relationship between the attendance numbers, the marketing and getting your message out there, and that donor support. Because the way that they're tracking data, it seems like it's a really great area of growth for them, because if they could better develop tools for who is accessing, it seems like they're really good at adjusting their programming to meet the needs of who they're serving. So having that really clear idea of who they're serving will build their donor base, and it will also help them accomplish that. So I think that's a great area of focus for them moving forward.
Thank you. All right, if everybody has spoken, I'm going to turn to those of you who were able to access the work sample and Dale, I'm going to ask you to help me figure out how we get that work sample to them at this point, before they put in the artistic quality score on this comment sheet, unless we want to hold these sheets until later. So I think I'll call you on the cell on that one. But if those of you who were able to access those the work samples could speak to those work samples, that would be very helpful.
Karen, would it be helpful for one of us to like share our screens and
Oh, that would be awesome if you could do that. Yes, that would be great. Especially if they can, of course, hear the work as well as see it.
well, I'm hoping that that will be
Yeah,
what
yeah, thank
here.
you.
Let's
That
see if
is
it works.
sometimes a challenge for me. All right, thank you.
Can you hear it?
No.
There might be something
Yeah.
on, yeah.
Yeah. And Karen, what are we doing about the timing on this? Because it's
We're just gonna have to hold it. We're gonna have to
Okay.
hold it because they can't
Okay.
score without this.
Okay.
Jillian, I'm wondering if on your audio, on the Zoom audio, that little toggle there or whatever, if there's a way to
I'm just gonna pop in and
click on
ask
something
that,
there. And
and when you're sharing your screen, to go ahead and unshare. And then when you reshare, there should be three little boxes underneath the share options on the left-hand side, and one box says share sound. And after clicking that, you should be able to hear the sound.
Okay, let me try this again.
thank you, Vivian. I was just about to call on you for any thoughts that you or Dale had on that.
Did that help?
Yep.
Okay, I'm like, it's very loud right now.
We'll give you a sense of this first work sample. Have you heard enough that we can move to the next one? I'm seeing nods. Thank you, Jillian. Would you please share the second one and then
Yep.
we will call it good. This is how, we used to do it back in the day when we would gather in the same conference room and watch the work samples together. So this is a flashback.
Here we go.
Checking in, happy to keep watching unless you all have seen enough. That's enough. Okay, I'm seeing enoughs on that. Jillian, thank you very much for that. Okay. Now you have the rest of the information you need to be able to finish up those scoring sheets. Thank you all so much for mentioning that you were not able to access work samples. At the end of the day today, I'm going to ask that you please share with me the names of any other applications that you had trouble accessing the work sample for, and then we will make sure to get you that access before the review tomorrow. Or worst case scenario, screen share again. Jillian, thanks for saving the day there. We would have figured out another solution, but that was a quick one. Thanks, Vivian, for jumping in. Alrighty, the floating thumbs up tells us that we're off to our next application, and that is the Madison Area Concert Handbells. And our first reader on this one is going to be Jillian.
All right, so Madison Area Concert Handbells in Madison, Wisconsin. Mission is to serve the community through affordable, high-quality handbell musical performances that are both entertaining, educational, and inspirational. They give 2 concerts a year. Sorry, getting back to my notes here. Yeah. So they do 2 concerts per year, but their programs are shown multiple times. So 5 performances in total is what they do. It's an 18-member volunteer handbell choir. And it's notable to say that they're in their 28th year of existence. There a couple of things that I wanted to highlight from this application. One that I thought that was a strength that I loved, their Wiggle Welcome approach, as they collaborated with the Autism Society there in Madison to make and create a all-inclusive performance space for their audience, and something where they just invited these families in and made it a wonderful experience for them. The organization is making strides to be financially stable and are continuing to face rising costs, but they're committed to keeping their concerts affordable for their audience. All of their programs were, I thought from their samples, they were doing performing at a very high level. I love that they had mentorship and workshops on handbell technique as they try to recruit more members. I thought this organization was financially in very good shape. And yeah, I'll leave it there so we can get more comments in.
Thanks,
All right,
Jillian.
it's me, it's Chris who's got the next comments. With only 2 concerts a year and yet a strong group, I noticed that this was the one where they had the integrity of buying the older bells as well, the historic handbells, am I right?
Yep.
So they brought these historic handbells, they've got this, they've got, all these things, they've got vision, integrity, planning, administrative development work. It sounds like nobody's a paid professional for fundraising and things like that, but they're doing very well with programming outreach, and it's always everybody's constraint and yet challenge. They made a small ticket increase price and a modest salary adjustment And that's very, very much reflected in their notes. It is modest. Ticket sales cover less than half of the programming expense. I'm sure you'll find that, unfortunately, in many, many places, especially with the smaller groups. I really liked that they were included in the Make Music Madison situation, because that brings visibility and collaboration across so that the city knows. And yet my number one positive is that when you've got this group, handbells can travel pretty well, and they are doing care homes, retirement communities, and looking at bringing music to the people with limited access to the arts. I love that. And then I'm going to highlight and also then restate the autism group of people where they could have sensory friendly concert, even though that's, if you will, only 65 attendees. Those are 65 very important people whose needs are not often met. They are growing their impact through a focus on marketing with social media, concert messaging, newsletters, outreach. And again, once again, that's a challenge for everyone. That database of people who've been to your concerts is your key to donor cultivation and support. Congratulations, and I'd love to hear those historic handbells versus the regular ones side by side to see how they compare and sound. Personal note. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Jillian. All right. Other comments, please.
So there was not a work sample link available when I reviewed the application, and it looks like there is one now. Any chance we could listen, or maybe I should just listen to it right now on my own.
Did anyone else not see that work sample? Raise your hand if you did not see that work sample or hear it.
I have it up right now. Is that okay?
Nope. I'm gonna
Okay,
have Douglass,
I just
because you
listen to it
can see
myself?
it now, you can listen to it offline, like, yeah, but perfect. Okay.
The YouTube
Thank you
link.
for clarifying that. Yes, thank you, Chris. All right, other comments?
I want to echo what everyone else said. I was, I don't know if this is an appropriate word, but giddy reading this application. To have a handbell organization be in effect for what, 28 years, in and of itself is impressive. But to do it in a way that doesn't stay stagnant in tradition, allows for people who don't have access. And growing up, my first interaction with handbells was college, and so it's a very unique art form that is not prevalent in schools, and so for them to be able to collaborate with people, I think we talked about this in a separate application this morning already with Lori's comment of uh, if handbells are not in schools, what a perfect opportunity to advocate for that to be in schools, whether it be curricular, co-curricular, or a club. And so that's just one thing that I would encourage them to do. The rest of it I thought was very enjoyable to listen to and very enjoyable to read about.
Thank you. Monica.
Yeah, I thought this was a really strong application. I think for only doing 2 concerts a year and then all of the additional outreach that they were doing in the community in different ways, I thought this was a really commendable group, and I love that they're doing, workshops, and they recently piloted a kid-friendly program, which I think is what everybody's been talking about too.
Great. Thank you.
Karen, I had just a curiosity question about the in-kind budget numbers. If that's tied to in any way the thousands of volunteer hours they're listing, or if that's other types of in-kind support. Do you have more budget detail just on the in-kind?
I have what you have. So if they didn't do a breakdown of where they came up with those in-kind numbers, I
Okay.
don't have it either. Yeah.
Thank you.
One of the things that we do encourage people to look at seriously, though, is those volunteer hours. So that is certainly one incredibly important in-kind contribution that is often overlooked. Other comments? Douglass, you've had a chance to take a peek at least and a quick listen to their work.
I did. I really enjoyed the work sample. I'm glad I got to see it. I don't know why. Maybe I missed it. I don't know. So I'm not sure what happened there, but I did see it now. I wanted to echo that I also really enjoy seeing the sensory friendly concert. I'm an autism dad, so I kind of pay extra attention to those efforts and commend groups for doing them. So I'm just glad to see that. And also like handballs are actually like a great fit, I think. I mean, I don't know. I think like they're a great fit for like a participatory thing where like it's very easy for somebody to kind of imagine themselves playing one and hopefully to actually play one. And that can be a great, addition to a concert like that. But I really enjoyed that. And I thought that, let's see. Right. I thought the organizational plan, again, I'm kind of paying attention to those, and I thought it was good. I would like to see more specific implementation actions that include measurable outcomes, just to help you kind of navigate through your own plan, and so you know when you've completed these things and you have a way to measure them is a really important part of those.
Thank you. All right. If there are no other comments, then please go ahead and score.
Time.
Thanks, Susan. Thank you, Dale. All right, the last before the break, which might be a little shorter than we had planned, and that is the Concord Chamber Orchestra. And I believe our first reader is Chris.
Hello. The Concord Orchestra, I got to get to my place here, is from Milwaukee. And it was founded on a college campus, like so many of these groups have been, where you were brought together for a school pit orchestra. And they decided to keep it together. So it's the musicians. I love that the musicians put this group together in 1976. And they've had very few funds, but they've played in churches and in low-cost venues across Milwaukee, making that accessible. You'll find later that anybody under 12 can go to their concerts for free. So they figured out in 1980 they needed more governance, and they also that year started an annual concerto competition for people under 25 years old. Also very famous. I've had a number of people who've been involved in that. It's quite well known. They've got a subscription concert, and they try to do something that the orchestra knows, the conductor knows, and something that no one knows for an eclectic and interesting program. They've expanded their repertoire, and they've arranged for many, many people to come in as guest soloists and regional choirs throughout the years. What you also need to know about this is that they are experimental in their programming, and yet they really want everybody to be able to feel like they're accessible. So it says that there's 75 artists directly involved, and that they reach about 1,700 over the year. And this is what's amazing. 12 to 13 concerts per season. Their subscription concerts are 4. Then they do a small chamber group, and then they do one in a parish. Then they do one in a basilica. Then the chamber music runs around and does stuff in downtown Milwaukee. And then again, you're going to find out where my heart is. Summer concerts. They do them in 6 locations. I love that. And that they also then do the nursing homes. Another one of my pet projects. Their board meets monthly and they have well-attended concerts. I didn't see that data other than well-attended concerts. And I do have to say that their expenses are just, they're neck and neck with their revenue. So they use every bit to make it happen. Their board is a variety of musicians. Yes, and of course I'm into expanding boards for strength. It looks like we have 3 people who are paid, and it's pretty impressive for this chamber orchestra.
Thank you, Chris. Monica.
Loved all of that. I love that they do a lot of free concerts, so it's great community engagement and outreach. I loved the collaborations that they've had with the LGBTQ plus handbell ringers, and they seem to have a really great concerto competition going. Their orchestra members seem to be really committed, and they've really benefited from having an artistic director and a music director for such a long tenure. I also wanted to mention, that some of the orchestra members are contributing financially, so they seem to be really invested in the development and fundraising as well. And they seem to have a diverse group of assistant conductor, so I thought that was really notable too.
Thank you. All right. Others.
One thing I noticed, again, looking at their organizational plan, the plan is from 2009. So it's quite old. I would say it's probably quite out of date for them. And I would just offer some advice to say that the plan that they submitted is really big, and it's big and robust. And I would say that they can do one much more streamlined. Like, it can be something much more simpler and doesn't need to feel like a big burden. And to just think about things that are important to them and come up with some specific ways that they can address those issues and better serve their community in the next couple of years. So I definitely recommend that they engage in that kind of process.
Thank you. Other panel comments?
I think also in that vein for me, again, just something that would be a suggestion for the next time would be to just the more data that they can put into their grants, the better and the stronger it will be. Because I had questions like, they survey their audience, but it would have been great to, not only see their questions, but also see the results and for them to tell us how did that influence the decisions, or influence what you're going to program, or influence whether this was a success or not, and we'll do it again. So just more data that you can to gather and to share, the better.
Good.
I'll echo what Jillian said, almost word for word is what I had in my notes of just we want more data, measuring success by season tickets, expansion, board member retention, and then social media growth. Those are great starting points. But how do we get out of there and make it a little more succinct? So seeing survey questions, results. Like I said before, I'm a big data guy, so I love to see 15% increase in audience attendance, because sometimes ticket sales or season ticket purchases isn't a succinct measure of success. And so having helps you understand why people are buying tickets and things like that. So to see some of that more succinct data would be great.
Mhm. Other comments? All right. Thank you then. Please score. All right, thumbs are up. Susan, we are scheduled for a 10-minute break now. Do we want to check with the panel and see if we could maybe squish it to 7 minutes, or do you guys need a full-on 10 minutes to stretch and do what you need to do?
We are only 5 minutes over right now.
Okay.
I'd be okay with 5, just enough to refresh.
Take 5, everybody. See you. Just turn your camera off. Please don't leave entirely. See you in 5 minutes. Thank you. Vivian, I'm thinking we need to have a sign that we can put up on the Zoom or live stream thing that says panel break back in 5 or something like that. Maybe you and I can put our heads together to figure out if there's a way to do that kind of a, I don't
Yeah,
know, a
there should
thing.
be
Look
there
at
should be a
you.
way. I just think that we'll have to change the actual meeting. Oops. I don't want
I'd
to
like to
share
share this whiteboard. You don't want to
that.
share the whiteboard? Okay.
No, no, no.
Right, we can talk
But
offline, but just yeah, that would be great.
yeah, there should be a way to do it, but we'll just have to change the meeting format itself, I believe.
Thanks. All right, if you are back, thanks, Chris, for turning yours on. Please go ahead and turn your camera back on. Once everyone is present again, we can recommence. Great. While we're waiting for the other two to jump on, I will simply commend you all on your first reader presentations and the way you are moving through these. I am really appreciative. We are really appreciative of the clear work that you've done on these. So thank you for that. All right, as soon as we see Ryan's smile, oh, and there it is. I think we can get started on our next one. And Susan, if you'd like me to continue reading them off, I am happy to do that. I have, we are still in our small budget organization volunteer artist category. And now we have moved into the Milwaukee Choristers out of Milwaukee. And our first reader on this one is Lori.
Fantastic. All right. So we have the Milwaukee Choristers from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, which is a 90-member auditioned community chorus directed by Dr. James Kinchin and supported by artistic, administrative, and volunteer leadership. This is a legacy organization with 90 years of history, and they produce 2 major concerts each year, each typically performed twice, and then they offer pro bono community performances at retirement communities to expand their outreach. Their musical programming spans classical masterworks, world music, contemporary, Broadway, etc. And they are supported by a 7-member working board, paid artistic staff, part-time administrative staff, and a strong core of volunteers that manage their operations, marketing, and their concert logistics. And then beyond just the performances, they contribute to cultural life, and especially noted their Roots Young Singers Apprenticeship Program for high school and college music students. Together, that reinforces what a cultural asset they are to that community. When I looked at the strengths of the organization, one is the diversity of the music that they perform and the engagement and outreach that they have, both through performance, but also the educational components. And the partnership with musicians and youth choirs brings a great benefit to their community. They appear to run effectively through dedicated volunteers and a small paid staff. They make a big impact by performing in many community settings. And I also noted that there's a lot of people involved in shaping each season and what that looks like, and they use feedback from members and audiences for that. When I look at areas of growth or places they could continue to do great work is having more opportunities for underrepresented composers, even beyond what they're doing now, seems to be an area that they care deeply about, and that's one area they could invest time and energy in. It seems that rising costs are remaining a challenge for them in how they described their challenges. So expanding their fundraising efforts would also be another good area to invest time in. And because they value the partnerships with the retirement communities, it seems that that's also an area where they could look at other hard to reach audiences, because they clearly have a quality and engaging repertoire for many audiences to benefit from. So the last thing, and this has come up, I think for me in a lot of these evaluations, is just continuing to look at the way that they formally evaluate their concerts and their processes. So it gives them more opportunity to build off the great work they're doing right now.
Thank you, Lori. Ryan, I think you're the second on this one.
Yeah, there's a benefit of going after Lori in these things is that you don't have to really talk all that much, because she does it so well. The things that I would add was organization has a clear understanding of their goal and direction. They're not sporadic at all. They have a mission statement and they stick to it. Or the programming evolves each year, and there are plenty of qualified individuals. Just to echo what Lori said, just not as a negative or anything, but just as a continuing working. I'm always I'm trying to be careful with my words here as to not offend. When we do concerts, like when we're programming concerts and we're doing themed concerts and we're trying to hit different like check boxes, so underrepresented groups, being careful not to just do like women composers, for instance. I noticed in there of just doing women composers just to hit women composers, but to have it already like influenced in your daily repertoire choices. It makes it more organic rather than trying to hit a box. I don't think that was their intent, but that's just when you're reading something off the page, that's kind of how it comes across sometimes. Um, I also put that the organization saw a need for better budgeting and then immediately created a budget committee, which shows that they're dedicated to being careful with their finances. Um, diversification of the portfolio comes in the form of repertoire and musical experiences such as tree lighting and different things like that. Yeah, that's all I got for that one, I think.
All right, thank you. Other panelists, please.
This is Chris. I will go ahead and comment on the diversification of their visibility because I believe their cultural, municipal, and sporting events is very unique. I like that they are at the big symphony hall, but then they are at a hockey game, then they are at a holiday sing outside, and that they are really showing a variety of outreach really. And I know that when it comes to the holidays, there's an enhanced audience participation. Sounds like they've got a pretty good audience participation. I haven't seen the data broken up per concert, but then again, we don't ask for that, do we? So what I like is that this is out for the non-professional musician, but young singers are also involved and that they span the generation from 20 to 70. That's really big for me because there's mentorship, leadership, there is connection, and there is a lifelong learning possibilities. Thank you.
Thank you. Other panelist comments, please.
I think I would just again echo everyone said everything that I think that I had written down for this one. The only other thing that I would add is that like I did like that they really do try to lean into mutually beneficial collaborations and partnerships, and that is at the core of what they're trying to do. So kudos for me on that because I think they're doing a good job.
One thing I noticed was that their board is all very new, which is not a problem at all. In fact, it seems like they're doing a great job. They're showing responsiveness to issues that are coming up. Let's see, one other thing. I really enjoyed seeing the youth internship program. I thought that was really cool. And I'd like to know, I would just like to see more evidence about how audiences are responding to the group's work, because it seems like I also really enjoyed seeing the different ways they're reaching the community and how they're getting out there. So I'd love to know more about how people are responding to that.
Thank you. Monica, anything to add into the mix here?
I think everybody mentioned what I had written down, so I'm good.
All right. Well, in that case, if there are no other comments, please go ahead and score. All right, the floating thumb tells us that we're going to the Festival of Choir outside of or out of Madison, and Ryan, you are the lead on this one.
Thank you. Yeah, this is Festival Choir Madison. Ironically, I don't mean to age myself here, but it's not recognizable anymore with all the people that are new, but I sang in this choir years ago, back when it was under different leadership and things like that. So it was fun to read this one. Um, the uh, they are the official choir for the annual Christmas Messiah concerts with the Wisconsin Chamber Orchestra. Having that title of official choir is phenomenal, and I think it's a great asset for the team. Um, they are, I would say overall, they're on the cusp of trying new things, which is great. I think that with time, effort, and feedback facilitated, they're going to achieve these goals. They mentioned that they're trying to collaborate with and invite new groups of people who don't typically come to their concerts, and they've not found from their application not found tons of success from their words, but with consistent communication, sharing of ideas and resources, I think that's going to be it's going to come in due time. They are starting to perform um, newer repertoire and repertoire that is intended to bring in new generation of people, which I think is commendable. They have a board that is full of committees, outside help, and volunteer help. Outside help being paid people to help out with strategic planning and things like that. Um, they do garner feedback from their concert goers, but they mentioned that they only have a 9% return, which is a low number. However, if you are a part of an organization, you're lucky to see 6% sometimes. And so even with that 9% return, they're still using that feedback and generating positive change for the organization they mentioned. They are, I would say overall, they are on the cusp of doing really great things, and they're trying to, um, how do I say it? They are, like I said, in their own words, they mentioned it hasn't been successful. Little to no evidence to show that performing the Navidad Nuestra had any cultural, long-lasting impact on the community. However, the people that they did bring in from that is going to start the conversation and generate. I think this year was their first year doing something like this, and so I commend them on doing something new and outside of their typical repertoire choices.
All right, thank you. Douglas, let's go to you next.
Yeah, I wanted to start with that same idea that Ryan kind of just left off with, that the applicant kind of seems to like maybe that this outreach to the Latino community in their area didn't yield as much results in terms of attendance of that population at their concert, and they seem to see that as a failure, and I didn't see it as a failure at all. To me, it sounded like a great thing to do, and I think that the people that were in the room were enriched by that, and so I wouldn't see it as a failure. I would encourage them to continue and try new things and keep building relationships. And I'm sure that the people in the room benefited from that concert. And they even provided some evidence of somebody having great feedback about this concert. Like, I love this concert. Like, it was in the application. I'm like, well, somebody really liked it. So the only other thing that I would add, I thought this applicant's evaluation was very good. It seems like they not only had data, but they digested it and, provided some analysis that they're acting on, which I thought was great. I thought their strategic plan was comprehensive, perhaps even a little too comprehensive. Like it would be rare that I would say that, but it's maybe it could be simpler, but I think that was great. And so it's good to see that kind of thought happening. So that was all I wanted to add.
Great, thanks. All right, other panelists, please.
Okay, this is Chris. I will go ahead and say they've got a varied board. They spend much less than they make. So they're very fiscally responsible. They can maybe even take some risks as they go, but maybe they're saving up for something. I know they pay some of the people and they have to pay their guests, and I respect that. And what I also want to highlight is that the majority of the organization's activities occur, yes, in Dane County, primarily Madison, but you've got rehearsals taking place in a church. Often they're very, very nice to you, which is lovely, but they are moving their concerts from Performing Arts Center, the Hampel Hall, collaborating with the youth orchestra, into the Overture Center, to the Bethel Lutheran Church, to the Unitarian Church. And I love that there's diversity of that, and it shows that eclectic approach. And I too would like to echo about the Latino focused work and composers. Well, I think you have to go a little step further and often bring things like that to the Boys and Girls Club and go right to them. So I'm not sure how you get people in, but you sometimes have to bring the music to them. I really did appreciate that. I appreciate the quality. I appreciate that the links were there and worked. I'm always one that wants more artifacts than have been shared. They've got their season postcard and they've got their announcement, but not really any programs or any photos that I was able to see. So just for the future.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. All right,
And
other
I would,
yeah.
I was just going to add, I really loved that they had made accommodations for members who had difficulty paying the membership dues. And I think that's a lovely barrier to remove for um, getting as diverse a membership as you possibly can. And again, with some of these other initiatives that they're trying to reach other communities, I know I see it in where I work. Oftentimes we pilot a program and maybe we don't see results right away, but giving it time um, to get the word out and see results after a couple of iterations. Sometimes it does take a little bit of time.
Thank you.
Yeah, just to echo what Monica was just saying, sometimes it's like you have that small audience, but when you get that positive feedback from them that they enjoyed it, those are your ambassadors. Those are the people that you invite to the table to be a part of your decision making and how best to reach others, because that person's going to be the loudest person that you have who's going to encourage people to come to your next concert when you do this again.
Thank you. Other comments?
I just wanted to make a comment about the budget. I really appreciated had we just seen the table without their long explanation, but very clear and detailed explanation with the fluctuation in budget. Great example of where without knowing like that they were owed money by brown paper tickets, you could have wondered what happened differently in that year, but that explains a lot. So I just want to commend them for taking the time to write the narrative.
2 minutes.
Would that they were not the only ones that were dealing with brown paper ticket issues, but there it is. Thank you. Any other comments before we close it out? All right, then please score. Thanks, Susan. Okay. Moving on. Thanks, everybody. We've got the Choral Arts Society out of Racine, and Monica, you're the first.
Yes, Choral Arts Society from Racine. I thought there are an auditioned volunteer mixed voice community chorus of about 60 singers. Some of the things that have really stood out to me in this application were some creative community engagement initiatives. I loved reading about the prison reentry work opportunities that they are participating in. They've also really set a standard of prioritizing innovative and diverse programming, which is challenging for large organizations. So it was wonderful to read about an organization of this size giving that such focus and commitment. They have been doing some wonderful education initiatives for multiple age groups in terms of doing pre-concert discussions and readers. Some of the things I would love to have heard more about were their ideas and efforts to engage a younger audience and membership. They said that that was a challenge that they were facing. So it would be great to hear in a future application, how they're addressing that. And maybe some of my other fellow panelists could weigh in on this next note that I made, which was about their expenses growing very quickly and not quite keeping up with their revenue. So that was another challenge that I think would be good for them to make more of a plan, or maybe I hope I didn't miss that section, but if anyone else could weigh in on that, that would be great.
All right. Then let us go on to Lori, please.
I'll
Monica,
respond
you
to
go.
what Monica actually just said first before my other comments, and that is nonprofits post-pandemic have faced escalating costs that can be 40, 50, sometimes 100% of what is being paid for the same space, the same transportation, all of that. So when it's human costs, we can control sometimes for that a little bit more. But when we're talking about some of the costs that rely on us getting to places or producing in a space that we have to rent, I think that's causing a lot of nonprofits. I'm speculating right now, but based on what they do and that comment, that's just with inflation and the rising cost to do the business. That doesn't shock me. What I am shocked by, Monica and all, is that they kept up with it, because if you look at their budget, I know they mentioned struggling, but the fact that they're keeping up and still able to do what they're doing actually should be commendable for. You just can't survive without a long-term plan. But I think it's great that they're doing that. The other comment I just wanted to make to add to what Monica had shared is that I appreciate seeing that they have they mentioned a factoring tool to quantify the range of organizational energy and resources that they spend on each program. And sometimes nonprofits miss the mark on that, and they don't really look at where they're spending their time, resources, and money by each thing they do, and they only look at the aggregate. So I just want to commend them for having that scale and taking the time to really look at that. And their Actions for Equity tool also stood out in that section, that they're very clear on what they want representing their organization and how it's produced on stage. So those are two items I would add.
Thank you. Other panel comments?
I thought it was two things that really stood out to me was how they partner with the Racine Vocational Ministry Prison Reentry Program to help out with setting up and tearing down. I can't get it up
fast enough, but I remember one comment saying that like it was hard to find places where he felt accepted, and he's worked there for I think 2 or 3 years, and he just loves the experience, which I think is one of the more unique things I've read in all of these applications as far as partnerships go. And then, oh, what was the other thing I wanted to talk about here? Um, Oh, their lessons and carols. As someone who is the president of an organization that annually does lessons and carols, we do it a pretty traditional way, and so to see it done where it is a staple of their season, but done in a refreshing way each year, I thought was unique and commendable. This 2023, I think they did a an American lessons and carols. And sometimes they do the more traditional one with the text and everything, but just to keep it fresh and keep people wanting to come, not simply because they want to support the group, but you're going to get more eclectic groups of people coming in as well. So I thought both of those things were very unique and very commendable.
Great. Thank you.
This is Chris, and I'm into community partnerships. And it looks like we are crossing lines, and we've got friends from artists coming from Boston to Austin. I like that, Boston to Austin. And I like that they have collaborated with dance. I like that they've got a gospel choir that has come in. And then I do want to make a comment, hoping that they watch this on the prison, the vocational ministry prison reentry. I too have done a lessons and carols, but we videotaped ours, and it's been shown in prisons throughout the state of Minnesota, and now they're expanding into Wisconsin. So one tip for these people is that is a beautiful outreach for this choir. I'm so impressed with it. And so there is another opportunity for some visibility, is to think of how you can partner with them on a different level, even if it's through a screen, because it sounds like you're doing really great and you've got a lot of diversity and you've got an open door down there. Thank you.
Yeah.
I wanted to comment on the work sample, which I really enjoyed, but I had a couple weaknesses of it, or just things I wish I could have also seen, because with they kind of have the rock band that's literally out front, and the choir is behind, and they're also aurally back, like I could almost not hear them, and so and I get it, like it's not like a pristine recording, but I would love to have seen just another work sample, audio or video, that just kind of showed another sample of this group performing. I also, the social justice focus of their organizational plan, like, really stuck out to me in a really positive way, and I think that they're doing some good work in that direction to kind of take action on their action plan. So I appreciated seeing that.
Thank you.
Yeah,
2
that
minutes.
other thing that I would add is like, yeah, I love that they're like what's already been mentioned, that they're doing things that are really talking about the resources of their staff, because we know it's easy to burn out in this field. So I like that they were taking into account that, but also, yeah, as what Douglas was saying about their embrace of what was it, actions of equity, and using those tools to make sure that they are holding themselves accountable and really being very thoughtful in their decision making. So kudos for that.
Thank you. Any other comments? Then please go ahead and score. All right. Thank you, Dale. The lacrosse chamber chorale. Go ahead. Yes. Douglas.
Yeah, I think it's my first reader assignment on this one.
It is.
Right. Okay. So applicant is the Lacrosse Chamber Chorale. They were founded in 1991. They're a volunteer community choir, giving 8 annual performances. They're based in La Crosse, and it's an audition volunteer choir, also with educational programs. I'll start with some of the weaknesses that I noticed. So one thing that I'll talk about in the strengths is that they really put forward their educational opportunity or their educational work, which I found to be really strong. From what I saw, I really enjoyed, and it looked like it was going really well. Like good samples, good documentation of what was happening. And then as I was doing that, I was like, wait, don't they also have an adult choir? Like the adult choir I found to be so far in the background that I almost wasn't aware that they had one, and I could even be wrong about that. Like, so panelists, if I'm wrong about that, let me know. But what I'm just seeing is that I would like to see more balance to the adult choir and like what role are they playing, and make sure that they're kind of coming across prominently in your materials, and also that there's a both a creative and a like a musical vision for the adult choir, and as well as an administrative vision for the whole organization. Let's see. I did find. Oh, I see. So I saw that I do see evidence of good tracking of basic metrics like attendance at concerts, but I did want to see more qualitative feedback, especially from audiences. There was one evaluation tool that I could not read the handwriting, and so it looked like a good evaluation form, but I could read the numbers that were circled. So it's definitely there, but I found that I wasn't able to evaluate that because of that. So going to some of the strengths, so in their work samples, they really put forward a clinician that they brought in, Julio Morales, and I thought he was great. Like I really enjoyed watching him, and the kids seemed to be really enjoying working with him. And so they put that forward, and rightly so. I thought it was great. With the caveat that I said earlier about kind of backgrounding the other choir and another big part of the organization. I thought they responded really well to a deficit in their most recent year. They kind of responded with a plan for that right away, and it seems to be, they mentioned that it's seeing results so far. I also really like to see an internship and a scholarship for a student to join the chorus in this case. I did also appreciate outreach into the kind of nearby rural communities. I lived close to La Crosse. There's lots of rural communities here that really benefit from this kind of work. Let's see. Steady leadership is a big tradition. They've had very long-serving artistic directors, which seems to be a strength. Let's see. Yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. I mean, they're also producing, in addition to in-school workshops, they're also producing a festival, and so they had several school choirs that gathered in La Crosse to perform, and they also worked with the same clinician. The samples of that I thought looked great, and so I appreciated that. Yeah, and that's all I have to say about it. I felt great about this application and saw a lot of promising things in it.
Thanks, Douglas. Jillian, you're second on this.
I'm gonna say Douglas covered a lot. So I don't have that much to add. Yeah, going back and looking at their budget, they did give the explanation about addressing the shortfall that's in the budget or the deficit, I should say, that their expenses are rising, but they're planning for their 40th anniversary, and so they're planning for a fundraising and audience building campaign with that. And they've got some strategies of how they're planning to restore that balance. So that was good to see. Because their festival, I believe, did grow. Yeah, but my notes from a 1-day festival to 3 days. So there's some of those initial costs that are happening. They're coming into that for them. But yeah, I also enjoyed the work samples. I thought that they were very much leaning into their arts education. And so kind of as Douglas commented, it's like the choir was kind of like, we also have this, we've done these programs, and here's our brochure, but let's focus on this. So a balance in that would have been great. But overall, I thought this was a really good application.
Thank you. Other panel comments?
Well, this is Chris, and I just want to say that I really liked the array of artifacts that they put up here, and that we saw a program, we saw the flyer, we saw the scholarship material, we saw the evaluation tool, and of course the audio examples and everything like that. But I do want to say that area to get some of that music outside of just La Crosse into those beautiful rural schools in that region is a great thing to do. And any collaborations within the schools, you've got some really nice concert halls in some of those schools that has been their pride and joy, would be the only thing I would suggest that strengthens your future. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Monica, Lori, Ryan?
Everything I had was already said.
All right.
Yeah, the only thing I would add is I loved seeing that they had free student admission. So they were, they're trying to remove some barriers there that have already been mentioned in other ways.
Great, thank you.
Everything on that I had has been covered in one way or another. Thank you.
Okay, great. Then please go ahead and score. Douglas, did you have your question about the balance of adult-focused work and kid-focused work responded to by the panelists to your satisfaction? Great.
Time.
Thanks, Susan. All righty. Next is the Master Singers of Milwaukee. Jillian, you are the first reader on this one.
So Master Singers of Milwaukee, located in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, present 3 choral music concerts a year. A volunteer choir. They partner with a lot of local churches in the area, and I really like that they included their attendance and their live stream numbers in their narrative as we went along. So they have a pretty steady amount of attendees for their concerts, and their live stream. I mean, I think only in a few locations they didn't have that option, but when they did, they definitely made sure that their concerts were available to everyone. They don't charge for their live streams. They have 3 part-time staff members and a 12-member board that meets monthly. Their Bridge program engages high schools, college, and young professionals, and they offer scholarships and apprenticeships. They established the choral exchange with the Madison Chamber Choir and also the Oshkosh Chamber Singers. The organization looks to be in good financial health. Like a lot of organizations that we've been talking about today, and I'm sure tomorrow, they're looking for new funding sources. And pretty, like I said, 12 members on their board, with their longest member being 45 years.
Oh.
I thought that was worth noting. But yeah, revenue seems to, be greater than their expenses in all cases. They did give a couple explanations. Again, planning for a 50th anniversary and things like that, that were going to be impacting their budget. And I think that, yeah, and they had a pretty sizable donation in one year that really helped to kind of like bolster what they were able to offer. So I'll leave it there.
Thank you, Jillian. All right, let's turn to you, Ryan.
Just in the spirit of honesty, I did talk to Karen about this. I am the president of the Oshkosh Chamber Singers. It wasn't until I reread this application that I realized our organizations met. I never knew their organization by name because just of the nature of my job. I was not paid to be at that concert. I was just a singer, so I didn't work in any kind of capacity there. But reading this application, a lot of what Jillian said is what I have in my notes already. They have a clearly defined role in the community and has community outreach. I really like that Bridge program that bridges the students in high school and young professionals. They recognize both their weaknesses and strengths, so I didn't have to, which was nice. And they're coming up with a plan to address both. They're in the process of seeking new donors and foundations to help with ongoing costs, but what organization isn't? And they're in the beginning stages of fostering new relationships, such as that collaborative concert between Oshkosh, Madison, and themselves. They talk about new patrons coming to concerts, but I didn't see a lot of data on greater participation. And I don't know if I missed it or if it isn't in there, but I was looking for advocacy at the local or state level. Very like I said, very likely that I missed it if it is in there. But that's been a big conversation today of advocacy at the state and local level. They use feedback from surveys to make better decisions for their ensembles and for the community at large. I noticed that the artistic director and executive director have like a top-down approach with lots of support from the board making most of the decisions. So overall really good. A lot of the issues I'm going to put in quotes that they have are not unique. So it doesn't. I really don't count that against them because we're all looking for new and more donors and fostering those relationships.
All right. Other panelists, please chime in.
This is Chris. That sounds like they do a lot of good planning. Their concert dates and venues are all selected at the end of the season so that they can communicate. The executive director channels everything through committees. The artistic director, I like this, holds candid conversations with members and families for feedback. I love that they have the scholarships for the high school and the college students, creating that bridge. I like that the music is accessible and that it's very different. I think it's cute that they got the payroll protection plan to pay off their debts in 5 years, and it's completely paid off. So they've got some good ideas here and a 6-year analysis for the board, which I really like. Trends for revenue, for income, for expenses, and it sounds like they're going to again put all their eggs and focus into that $50,000 donation treasury, but they're going to celebrate that 50th anniversary. So we all need a sugar daddy. They're lucky. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. And your comment made me realize I had not called for at the beginning of this session, and so I'll call for it now and then again tomorrow. If you come across anything in these applications that you would consider a best practice and something that you would like to lift up for other organizations to consider if it fits in with their work, please call those out and we will track those. So whether that financial analysis fits into that definition or not for you, Chris, it just reminded me to ask you all that question about either an overall application or elements within an application. So I will ask at the end of today whether there are any that stand out as you look back, and then I'll ask you tomorrow morning to look going forward to call those out as you see them.
I hope we use the words sugar daddy in those official correspondences.
That
I'll
was
take-
probably the wrong thing to say. And
I will take it
apologize.
under advisement and invite other panelists to chime in at this point.
Well, I just, on the budget, I just want to clarify my own thinking then, because I read it a little bit differently than Chris did. So the payroll protection plan was the PPP loans the government gave during the pandemic.
Right.
And what I'm reading is that they actually had to pay that back, and that the reason they needed the $50,000 donation was because they were going to struggle without it, correct? I mean, that's how I'm reading it. Versus they didn't take out a plan, that was the name of the PPP
Right.
loan. Okay.
Right.
And so they were paying off that debt that many nonprofits had
To deal with.
for the pandemic. Yeah.
Yep. Other panelists chiming in on that one? Was that your read too?
I didn't get I'm sorry, I didn't get a read on that particular question, so.
Yeah, I think the word that they use in their application was restore. So I think this was what we had. We had this donation, so that made everything balanced again.
2 minutes.
Thank you for the clarifying conversation. Go ahead.
I would add, let's see. Like my head is blanking. So one thing that they did that I really enjoyed, and this will be in my feedback like for the whole program, but they just put in like we had 113 attendees and 7 live stream. I think another reviewer commented on that, but I just really appreciated seeing that data in there. But also that, it's not the only thing that's in there. I think there's kind of a nice balance of like numerical data along with more narrative data. And I think that helps me a lot as a reviewer, just to understand and see a group in a more holistic way. So I just really appreciated seeing that. One other thing about the organizational plan, I loved all the initiatives that they're talking about, but it's kind of self-evident, but I would love to see how they kind of frame those in comparison, like with the group's strategic priorities. Like how is that moving them forward in a way that is really helping them reach like a desired future that they want to achieve? But again, like the initiatives themselves, I think are great, and and it's not necessarily asking for a strategic plan. So I think what they have is good and it's appropriate for them, and that would be like extra credit, like if they were able to kind of see those initiatives like contributing to their goals as an organization wide.
Thank you. Other comments? All right. Please go. Thank you, Dale. All right. We are at the Civic Symphony of Green Bay, and our first reader here is Chris.
Yes, it is. Let me pull it up. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. The Civic Symphony of Green Bay. Okay, I've got it in my notes state that they have mostly volunteer artists. Of course, they pay their director. They've got an executive director, but for the most part, it sounds like a donation group. The orchestra then engages in what they call collaborative performances, educational outreach, and the members are very committed and build lasting relationships. Sounds like a lot of music ensembles. They are 5 concerts and free summer concerts, family concerts for students. The orchestra, again, a few contractors in the strings and the percussion and the librarian. Sounds exactly like something I know very well and near and dear. They program music that goes to a wide audience. I like that they featured a contemporary string quartet concerto. I really liked that back in the day, but I also like that they are with Lambeau Field, and I like that they bring their music to a variety of places. They've got something that you've understood before, Carmina Burana, with choirs and collaborations. I love that they are piloting with airport. I like this, airport and aviation sponsors. They are so fortunate that they've got that beautiful concert hall so that they can have visibility. They've communicated and collaborated with a community band. But they're having problems, of course, because we rely on a small group of people, and yet operational costs keep going. Larger venues have larger costs, and they're passing that on to our smaller groups, which is a problem. And then I love this challenge. Patrons tend to avoid purchasing tickets in advance, making concert attendance more vulnerable to bad weather and people being lethargic. And that is so true. So that pay your own and get, season ticket things and committing, it's affected everybody, not just small groups, but all the way to the large ensembles. And so sometimes they're even doing a flexible pay by month. And then that month then covers some of your expenses. Very difficult to guess. I'm looking at their fiscal year and their growth. Their grant awards have gone from 0 in 2021 to 19,000 in 2025. Power to you. Program ads, so helping your organization. And then you have member donations and sponsorship. So you're doing the thing. You've got great quality. You've got outreach. You've got everything going for you. You've got a varied board. Congratulations. Get them a little bit involved in more of your fundraising and an extensive outreach of publicity. Love the photos. They highlighted some unique performance in a beautiful concert hall down to collaborations with students. So congratulations. I loved this proposal. I think they're doing terrific work. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. All righty then, on to our second reader, which is Monica.
I echo that what Chris just said. This was a really strong application for me, and I think they're doing really innovative programming and loved the alternative venues that they're going to. I think that's only going to benefit them in terms of their support and diversification of their audiences. They had a really high number of children engaged this year, which I thought was great. I loved the multimedia project they did on Ellis Island and incorporating the theme of immigration to one of their concerts. They did a video game concert, which is, kind of a popular thing to do right now, but it's a really great way of reaching a different group of people that probably don't come to orchestra concerts as frequently. And as far as things I would love to see in a future application, I would have loved to see some photos from the airfield hangar concert, aircraft concert. So other than that, I really thought this was a very strong application, and I thought the data that they supplied in the final "How did you know" section was great too. There were a lot of numbers that they included.
Great, thank you. All right, opening it up to the rest of you for comments.
Well, the comment I have to add anything is this application made my data heart happy. Seeing all the numbers, and it's one thing to say our audience has grown, or our revenue has grown. It's another to show. I don't have the exact number right in front of me right now because I went to the next application, I think, but Kristen mentioned from $0 to $19,000. I mean, that's incredible. And to see that really elevates the application. So kudos.
Thank you.
I love the video game music. I thought it was great, really fun to see. Let's see. I guess one small quibble was like all of the games were like first-person shooter games. Maybe we could have other types of games as well. You're going to have other types of music, but of course, I don't know what's available out there in terms of orchestral scores. But anyway, that was just the thought I had. And then a similar thought was that I love that work sample. I also really enjoyed seeing the photographs of different settings and different types of places that they're performing. I thought that was great. And that was really good to have in there because having just the one sample of the video game concert left me wanting to see them playing other types of music as well. Even some traditional orchestral music, classical music. I would love to hear that too. So that was kind of my comment, that I just love to see kind of a more well-rounded work sample, but overall I scored this one very high.
Thank you.
I'll add, because my comments combine some of what Ryan and Douglas just said. Not only did they demonstrate for us like the data, the way that it was presented made it so easy to review this particular application because you weren't wading through narrative where they were trying to make a point about growth. And so I appreciated not only the content, but the presentation of the way that this application was given to us. So I commend Civic Symphony of Green Bay for their great work on that.
2 minutes.
Any other comments on this one?
It's all been said and I agree. So
Great. All right. Well then, thank you. Please score it. And then Ryan, when you are done scoring, would you mind staying in the breakout room just so I can bring you back toward the end as well for this
Yeah,
next one?
absolutely.
Great. Okay. Let me know. Give me a thumbs up when you've scored it, and I will move you to the breakout room at that point. How about that?
I've scored. You're good to go.
Oh, okay. Here we go. Let's give it a whirl.
Time.
Right. And I left for a moment. I didn't see. Has the floating thumb gone up? It has. All righty. Susan, please, Brian, I'm going to have you just go ahead and turn your camera off and mute your thing because that's going to work better right now. Thank you. We'll
Should
call
I
you back
come-
in a minute.
Should I come back in about 10 minutes?
Yeah, that'd be perfect. Thank you.
Yep, of
All
course.
right, bye. All righty. Let's have the first reader jump in on new voices. And actually, the first reader is Ryan. So the second reader is taking the lead on this one, and that is Douglas. Thank you.
Yes, I tried to beef up my analysis here a little bit more, but okay. So the applicant is New Voices. They are based in Appleton. They are a volunteer choir. I don't see how many members they have right now, but it's in the range of like 50 to 60, I would say. Let's see, some things that stood out as strengths to me. I thought the work sample was strong. They're doing a lot of very interesting repertoire, mostly new music, really interesting choices. I found it creative and interesting. There is one thing that stands out in particular is that the artistic director has Parkinson's disease, and they put together a concert about his experience, and so I thought that was really fascinating, and I would wish I could go see it. Let's see, and I do see evidence of good connections in the community that are happening with local schools, with other nonprofits. There was one partnership they did with, let's see, it was like an immigrants organization, and they had photographs of this community that were brought into a concert that I appreciated. Hopefully one of you can fill in more details there. I should have taken more detailed notes. A few things that I felt were kind of weighing in as a little bit more as weaknesses. I have some concern about the groups running consisting deficits. They do address those in their budget narrative, and so I appreciated that. And so they're definitely actively working on this, but it's a concern. And so I think it's an area that they're working on. I also, I think it's a long range planning was kind of a weakness. One thing, for instance, they submit kind of a fundraising goal list as their organizational plan, and I didn't find it terribly revealing about what, it's like financial goals without like a plan of like the real world actions that will get them there. So that's something I encourage them to do more of, and I'm sure that they're thinking of it, and would love to see it next year perhaps. And there is evidence that evaluation is happening. I found that I thought that they could be digging a little bit, not digging deeper, but asking deeper questions, or perhaps just more questions, and also kind of learning about their community in terms of its demographics, to just have a better idea of who they're serving and who's coming, and the effects that they're having. There's a lot of narrative feedback in the evaluation that I thought was good. Let's see. Yes, I already said that. And yep, okay. Yeah, so I think, again, I'm seeing good connections to local schools. That came across pretty strongly. I think that there's some good activity happening there. And again, I really enjoyed the work samples. I thought it was, creative programming choices and some interesting experiences being presented. So those were kind of the things that stood out to me.
Thank you, Douglas. Appreciate you leading that one. All right. If the other four of you would please weigh in on this one with your thoughts, that would be great.
Well, it's Chris, and I'll go ahead and start about the majority of the organization's activities. They're very, very fortunate that they have such a great connection, and they perform mostly at that Lawrence Memorial Chapel. If you've never been there, it's absolutely gorgeous, fabulous acoustics. And I do like that they are doing a Christmas concert also in Green Bay, because it's kind of close. So that says that we rehearse at this First English, doesn't matter, but they've got ample places. But I think that they have an uncanny opportunity for the collaboration in the region, because they're a very, very, very fine group, and I appreciated their application. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Others?
I would say that it seems like they're doing some great collaborations and programming. One thing that I noted was they recently upgraded their management software to facilitate ticket buying and making donations easier. So I think that is a great step working towards some of the goals that were mentioned earlier.
Thank you. Other comments?
I think the only other things, like, I like that they were taking, they're clearly thinking about things with their deficit in their budget. But they're clearly like bringing in experts to help lead them through a strategic plan. They're taking steps, like they know that they need to do something, and they're getting the expertise help to move in that direction. And I think, Douglas, you talked about their, I think it was one of their big collaborations they did, that was with the History Museum, was with the boy choir in the area, was with the girl choir, and the photos and stuff, and they do in schools. I thought it sounded like a really excellent project with those 60 photos of immigrants and the volunteering that they did. So yeah, that seemed like a wonderful project for the community.
Right. Any other comments on this one? All right, then
Oh,
go
I
ahead.
just
Yes,
have
yes,
one
yes.
comment, because I noticed, they're a legacy organization that's changed names, from White Heron Corral, which has been in the Madison area for a long time. And what I appreciate, to all the comments that have already been made, and then just to add this piece is, to take a legacy organization and make it relevant and serve the communities of today and tomorrow with the rebranding, with the attention to commissions and so forth. I commend them for taking some light risk financially to make sure they're in service and relevant. And I really hope that that planning piece that was just mentioned really can serve them to bridge that financial challenge that they're having right now with getting to the place where the revenue's coming in annually and they're not needing to draw on that on reserves and endowments and such. So, but I commend them for the visioning and the serving that you can see in the growth of a legacy organization.
2
Thank
minutes.
you. Thank you, Susan. All right, any last comments for the good of the cause before you score? Okay. Did I miss the floating thumbs up? Oh, there it is. Whew, okay. All right. I have asked Ryan to come back in via email, and here he is. Great. Thank you, Ryan. Wonderful. Okay. Thank you all. You have done, it's not even a toe dip. You have done an up to your knees dip into this whole process this afternoon, and I am grateful for the work that you have done so carefully. Are there any questions about how things have gone today, how things will go tomorrow? I'm going to reiterate if you come across best practices, please call them out as such so we can track them and share them. Uh, and I'm going to ask that you let me know if there are any other work samples that you individually or as a group had trouble accessing so that we can make sure that we get those into your hands before the reviews tomorrow. And now I'm going to stop talking and let you respond. I'm hearing there are no questions. You guys feel great about today, as you should. That you can see all of the work samples and you don't have any problems with any of them, but you might just triple check that this evening or whatever to make sure that that is true. And you'll send me an email if it is true, which I will get first thing tomorrow morning, and respond to. And if there is no other question or comment, then I will say thank you so much for the work that you have done on behalf of these small volunteer artist organizations around our state. Thank you. Oops, and I'm not even on camera. Here we go. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Have a great evening. Take a deep breath. You've done
Thank
great
you,
work.
everybody.
Thank
Thanks
you.
all.
See you tomorrow at 5 till 9. See ya.
Thank you.
Bye
Yeah,
bye.
yeah. All right, I will stop recording and streaming.
Okay. Karen?
Just a minute, Susan. I'm just gonna stop streaming here.
Okay.
And I'm also gonna thank you so much